Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
What's going on, Josh?
What's up?
Wow, making a grand entrance on us.
Forgot my Truly. Had to run.
Oh, I thought maybe you were just flying high today for some reason.
Oh, I mean, the suns are out. What's there to fly about?
What? Nope, the Truly's here.
We're here.
Hello, Mr. Vorp. Get well soon, Adam. Yep. I feel like quite a few people have caught the latest strand of COVID in these last few days. Shut up, Jordan. All right, let's get it started here, man. Today is Friday, May 27th. That puts us, I think, comfortably over the 2-year anniversary of this show.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary of Card Ladder in less than a month. The soft launch. Before we get to mail days, do we have any announcements that we want to spend a minute or two on? I don't think so.
I've got the latest PSA magazine.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Sure. I got visuals. Oops. Forget about that. All right. But I didn't show it last time. I think I just talked about it, but so I got visuals. Kaboom or Kabust. Card Ladder reveal. So here's our one of the things featuring Card Ladder. It's kind of a cool little feature that's going to be in every magazine, I believe. It shows you like the top 6 movers up and top 6 down. No surprises really. Harden, Simmons. Well, apparently the LeBron Tiger Stripes are in real pain right now. And then we got Jordan Poole, Stafford, and Tatum on the rise. And then the updated design on the price guide. Give you a quick peek. Chris, I don't know if you've even seen this one yet. So same layout as last time, just a little bit nicer on the eyes, a little bit easier to read. Still very interesting to look through.
Yeah, I mean, we have a question later today about nostalgia and just looking at card prices in tables like. Can you hear me, or am I breaking up?
You're back.
Okay. Yeah, I was just saying, looking at price guides in a magazine like that, in the tables like that, is very nostalgic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why it's so cool for us being in something that we grew up with.
Yeah, no doubt. I saw Sports Card Nation refer to Dr. Beckett as the guide father today, which I thought was great. It just shout out to him. Okay, so Chewy wants to know how can you order a copy of the PSA magazine if you wanted to? Do you know how to do that? Because I don't.
I believe you have to be a Collectors Club member, and then you get them as part of that.
There you go. So maybe just Google PSA Collectors Club, and that can get you going. All right. We actually have quite a few mail days on all sides, and I'm guessing Josh is going to go last, right?
Yeah, I just have the one. I just have the one.
Okay. I'll go first, and then Christina can go after me. Been out for a few weeks, so we've got a few to get through. We'll start with the GOAT. And this is a 1999 Upper Deck Century Legends. This was a set that was designed to commemorate the top 50 players of the century. And this is the Century Collection Parallel, number 200. And that actually allows me to complete the set because I've got the 10 subset cards, number 200, the Century Collection as well. And so thanks to Gary Vincent for selling me this card. I've been kind of low-key waiting for an opportunity on one, and it showed up. and it's a really neat card and really neat set. Okay. And then some McCaffreys. So shout out to KC Cards Chris, who sold me this 2020 Select McCaffrey 1 of 1. Well, never mad
Is that the
about
one I sent you? Is
What's that?
that the one I sent you?
Yes, it is.
Oh, nice.
Never mad about adding one of these. And finally, a huge shout out to Brent on Instagram at Back to Collecting. That's his handle, Back to Collecting. He just DM'd me and said, hey, what do you think about this McCaffrey rookie year, true platinum 1 of 1? And I said, yeah, it's awesome. This is not the true RPA. This is an insert, but it's rookie year. It's 1 of 1, and it's got that beautiful blue holofoil. And he just showed up and was extremely fair price-wise. Even offered to send me the card first and get paid later. And I said, no, you don't need to do that, man. But I really appreciate it. And then
What product is that?
This product?
Yeah, did you say the product?
Yeah, this is National Treasures.
Oh wow! So that's like the insert from National Treasures, because I think the blue line at the top looks familiar.
Yep, exactly right. This is the insert. This is not the true RPA. This is the insert, but it is a 1 of 1, and it's just an absolutely beautiful card. So huge thanks to Brent, and he even threw this in with it. This is a McCaffrey mosaic from 2020, Men of Mastery insert, gold out of 10. So thanks to him. And now Christina has a mail day to do.
I do. So shout out to Sean Urson Collector. He messaged me this week, and I have the 2017 rookie select black die cut of Maxi Kleba. 1 of 1, and this is his best rookie card. So I'm pretty excited, and thanks for giving me some time, guys.
Yep. We actually drove 2 hours both ways to meet him in Wisconsin and pick up that card today.
Oh, so Zane was right.
Zane was right. Zane got a hot tip.
Zane scooped me on my pickup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it was ever in doubt, Christina is the top Maxi Kleber collector in the world.
He doesn't have a prism. He doesn't have a prism or an optic black. Is that right? Or a base select. Okay.
That's right. He's got a flawless 1 of 1 rookie year, which Christina already owns, and then that select black 1 of 1. That's the top.
You have that card of McCaffrey, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yep.
Nice.
All right. That's the small fries. Now let's get to the big potato.
Well, I have other good news.
The big banana.
I almost brought a banana in here, but I don't know. It might have to make an appearance later.
Instagram never wants to hear another man say that to him.
No, exactly. I just didn't want to have people watch me eat a banana on live. So Instagram fixed the chat feature on my app. If I click the screen, I can see the whole chat.
Yay.
So I'm in the 23rd century. Watch out. I feel like I'm in the metaverse. It's so good, Wow.
Fancy Zoom.
All right, here's my mail day. I already did a big old deal about it earlier today, so I'm sure most have seen it, but this is the biggest card I've purchased in over a year, about a year and a half, so I was pretty excited to get this one today. 2009 exquisite limited logos LeBron. I was worried about the auto because in the pictures he said it was all in the case, and I think I could tell that he was right, but getting it today and seeing the auto being perfect, I was quite thrilled. And honestly, the card itself looks like it's in really good shape. There's just a little bit of edge wear here, but hopefully I can cross this to PSA 9. And it's in these like mega thick BGS. Can you see it move? Look at that.
Yep. Hate that.
No bueno. No bueno. These are really old cases. Worst case scenario, I could just get a new BGS slab and it would look better, but that's it. Game used. I know how big you are on the game used. So there you go. Game used, NBA, holofoil. Love this card.
That's awesome. Huge congrats, man. That is a giant 6-figure beast of a grail. and I just want to say congrats. So we actually, the first question is going to be a follow-up on your pickup, so we'll get to that. I just forgot. I wanted to give a little shout-out to 90s B-Ball Cards. Picked up some merch today from 90s B-Ball Cards, so shout out, Jake. Appreciate you listening in, buddy, and love consuming your content. All right, so Tracy Acorn 50 says, are Josh's recent LeBron purchases due more to the market, meaning that it's a good time to buy them, or is it just due to the cards themselves? Like, the cards you wanted came up and you decided to go for them now?
Well, I go after specific cards, so I have like a list of cards really that I'm always looking to get, and that list is not too big. Honestly, it's a pretty small list, but I guess, you know, given that the market's come down a bit and LeBron prices are down, maybe people are feeling like they need to sell, and it's just the stuff I want has come up for sale recently. I don't know that it's not some, like, you know, financial decision that's like, hey, this is my financial strategy to buy this dip. It's more so the cards that have come up just happen to be the ones that I want.
Got it. Okay. Card Shop Dad is going to get the next question. He sent in about 6 or 7 questions. He's definitely the MVP this week. He says, if you could go back and you had 10 grand to spend on cards in the year 2012, 10 years ago, what would you buy with 10 grand?
2012. I would buy as much of my current PC that I have today as I possibly could with that 10 grand. Get me off to a really nice head start.
Fair. Why not? Yeah, go. Fucking Greg. Yeah, go for the same stuff you got now. I was thinking about that, and I was like, you know, only one player of the, well, I guess only 2 players of the 7 or so that I collect would even have cards in 2012. So
Yep.
Le'Veon Bell would not, Christian McCaffrey would not, Jokic would not, Luka would not, but Jordan and LeBron would. So I don't know, man. Back in 2012, 10 grand is not going to get you a PMG green. Might get you a red, though. And so I'd probably just go right there, man. I just not going to make this too complicated. I would go straight for the PMG red. There's some people who might say, well, 2012 Prism, but you wouldn't want to go for 2012 Prism right at release. It would have been higher than what it would have been just a little while after release, right? So yeah,
Look at this guy.
Right?
He's dropping investment tips on the show. Savvy collector. Wow.
I've learned a few things in 6 or 7 years or however long it's been. Okay.
But you don't even like 2012 Prism anyways. That's the right answer.
Oh, yeah. No, I was trying to more subtly shade the product. But,
There you go.
Yeah, we can just come right out with that and say 2012 Prism sucks. All right.
We're 2 guys that collect with intention. Like we have certain cards that we're just trying to get, and I don't know, just go get those exact cards, right? That's kind of both of our answers.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Win23 says, what are your thoughts on-card triple autograph cards of the GOATs long term? And I have a visual aid to help us discuss this. And here it is. So with Golden, a few days ago, this card, which is a BGS 10 of Kobe, LeBron, and Jordan, 2 of the 3 GOATs pictured on the card. I'm just kidding. Jordan, guys. Actually. Okay. This card sold for $387,600, okay? Basically $400,000. And I know the winner of this card personally, good guy, can confirm that it was paid. I'm sure it will put off in due time. The winner is one of the great collectors. So, all right, so this is just kind of to frame it. This card that sold last weekend, this is the highest price that's ever been paid for a triple of those 3.
Publicly.
So, and that card, by the way, is numbered out of 10. It's from 2004 Upper Deck Trilogy. So BGS 10 out of 10. from 0405 UD Trilogy. Okay, so take it away, Josh. What are your thoughts on long-term prospects of on-card triple autos of Kobe, LeBron, and Jordan?
I don't have the number in front of me, but it's a low number. I believe it's in the hundreds, less than 200 total cards featuring those two. Not individual cards, but if you count up all the serial numbers and the individual copies, it's a very low number. I'm sure someone maybe in the chat can help me. I think it's in the hundreds. Because, I mean, that one's numbered to 10. I know of another couple others that are numbered to 10, numbered to, 20 and stuff like that. And I think there's some exquisites, like Justin has an exquisite of those three, numbered to 2, so it's like, it's hard to find just any card of those three guys. So, I mean, I don't know, up and right forever. I don't know, man. What am I supposed to say? That this stuff is already so expensive, and there's a reason that it's so expensive, because it's very, 3 of the most popular players, of all time, 3 of the most popular hobbyists, collectible players. So the demand for that kind of stuff is very, very high, and I don't see a reason for it to, really go down.
Yeah, that under 200 number is staggering. I love the idea of there being under 200 of a certain type of card. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty appealing. That's a neat way to put it. Apologies in advance to triple autograph collectors, but let me balance this equation a little bit. I don't particularly like the way those cards look. So that's my take as a collector. You really only get a little headshot of each player. Mm-hmm. And but it's nice to see the autographs all together, especially when it's 3 guys who really take care and put a lot of effort into them. And there is something really special about the fact that 3 of the very best basketball players ever all handled that card at one point in time. And just thinking about the logistics of getting that card from Jordan to LeBron to Kobe to a pack to a slab, ultimately to a collector, is pretty neat. I get the appeal. They're not for me, but I could come up with 10 reasons why those cards are some of the very best cards in the hobby, and it'd be tough to refute it.
And none of those 3, obviously Kobe because of his passing, but none of those 3 are signing NBA products. Jordan and LeBron, aren't signed with Panini, and they're not with Topps either or Fanatics. So that's also something to it where it's just like you're obviously with Kobe anyways. You're never going to get those 3 to sign a card again. The supply is going to stay the way it is, and so it's just a great stuff. I'm the same as you. I prefer the individual cards, but I know there's a lot of guys out there that love the triple stuff. So
right on. Okay, Goats and Grails says, can you discuss why the quarterback market is so hot during this offseason? And once again, I have a visual aid to help. In this case, it's going to be another auction from Golden last weekend, so just a few days ago. This is the 2018 National Treasures Gold out of 10, PSA 10, no autograph grade, Josh Allen. This card sold for $288,000 in that auction. Stunning card, 2-color patch. But yeah, that's a monster price. Still really not in the ballpark of Mahomes, who had his own National Treasures Gold sell for a little over $1 million last fall in a BGS 9.5 Auto 10. But that's the highest selling Josh Allen card of all time, and it just happened last weekend. So this is a real thing. This is happening. These young quarterbacks in particular are on fire this offseason. And what do you think, man? Why is the quarterback market so hot this offseason?
You know how people are like eager to pick up football cards this offseason thinking there's going to be this big dip, like, oh, those guys got knocked out of the playoffs. I feel like people just like flocked to that idea and they just move the needle back the other way. And don't you feel that way? It's like we kept hearing that. It's like, oh, buy football, it's dipping. I'm like, really? Football prices are like these quarterbacks are going way up.
That's funny. So it backfired. Everybody said we're going to wait for our dip, and then the dip never came, but people kept buying anyway. I'm trying to pull up a couple of indexes here. Pull some indexes on those guys. I heard Burrow's index is down. I think that's let's see. I mean, Burrow's index being, I guess it's going to kind of depend upon what time frame we want to talk about here. First time frame, I'm just gonna show us 4 of the young quarterbacks and talk about their card letter indexes real quick. So I'm just pulling them up in here. We'll go in reverse order from the guy I just pulled up last. So Justin Herbert, over the last 6 months, his index is flat. It's down 0.1 of a percent. So Justin Herbert, no movement. Just, and 6 months ago was about halfway through the NFL season. It was late November. The next guy we'll talk about is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is up 200% over the last 6 months. Okay, so that's really good for Joey Cigars. Patrick Mahomes is down 19% over the last 6 months. Very similar to what we've seen with players like Luka in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh Allen is up 61% over the last 6 months. And
By the dude.
Okay. So, look, I'll try and it's always easy to come up with causal explanations after the fact. But maybe, just maybe, people had such a good time collecting football last year, and they saw some really great quarterback play, and they saw that Bills-Chiefs showdown in the AFC playoffs, and maybe and they saw Joe Burrow go to the Super Bowl, and they saw Mahomes go to his 4th straight AFC championship game, and they saw Herbert not make the playoffs again, but man, he was pretty special in that final game against the Raiders, which, by the way, if both teams had just taken a knee the whole game, both would have got to the playoffs. And I don't know, I think people just loved what they saw from these quarterbacks. I think these quarterbacks acquitted themselves quite nicely, and people just enjoyed collecting this stuff. They see the momentum for it, and they're riding the wave. Maybe, what do you think about that?
Yeah, you know how I used to be pretty against the crazy prices for some of these young guys? I've just sort of come to accept it. That's just where the demand is. I think the cards that you have to choose from for these guys is really exciting. There's lots of cool stuff out there, whereas, Montana and Elway, people are like, oh, just go buy the GOATs. They only have one card, and they're kind of boring looking. And so there's just a lot more excitement and a lot more, options to choose from in the modern stuff. So I get it. It's exciting to collect, and it's not like you're buying this stuff at these crazy prices and holding for 30 years until it goes to zero. Like, there's going to be some, a lot of buying and selling and trading in that time span. So I don't think anyone's going to absorb all these massive, crazy dips that might occur on some of these risky guys. But it is what it is. It's good for the market overall. It keeps excitement up, and that's just the way it is.
There you go. Okay. Mad City Collector, shifting gears, says, do you ever feel pressured to buy cards or to start a new collection because you're a content creator? Why are you laughing already?
Because I really want to say no, but it's like, kind of.
Doesn't hurt the content to have new cards to show.
Well, I got to keep up with you, starting a new PC and collecting one-on-ones every week. It's like, I got to buy some cards.
Yeah. I don't feel any pressure to buy cards. Like, no offense to the audience, but I could give a damn what they think. But I will say this, when it does come to starting a new collection, that's when I do start to care about what the audience thinks. I start to kind of think about the audience and think about our friends who are collectors and, who might watch this show or just talk to us. Because, I put myself in their shoes, and if one of my favorite Michael Jordan collectors or Kobe Bryant collectors suddenly is collecting, third-tier football players and talking about that a lot, I'd be like, man, what are you doing? Get back to the Jordan stuff, right? So right. I can totally relate to that. So, but at the end of the day, no, like, as a collector, we got to just follow where where our collector instincts take us. I think, for better or worse, that's all we can do. So what do you think about that? Do you ever feel any sense of loyalty to other LeBron collectors to sort of, not stray too far from the LeBron collector path?
Yeah, I guess. I didn't really think about that until you just brought it up. Not really. I don't actually feel pressure, to be honest. I was mostly joking, but it is. I do enjoy the aspect of sharing my collection. So it's not really pressure. It's more of like I'm chasing that continuous high of adding to my PC and sharing it and telling the story of it. You know, it's like I just want to keep repeating that part of the process. So, you know, I don't know. I get what you're saying, but I haven't really thought about that.
Yep. Yep. I hear it a lot because we had content that literally was branded and surrounded collecting Michael Jordan, and then people are like, well,
Yeah.
you should change your name to House of PER because you post about PER twice a day, you know.
Right.
So, you know, but hey man, like there's to be completely honest, the reason why Jordan collecting became really difficult was because having like bought and owned at least at one point in time most of the inserts and then graduating to the grails, I can't afford the grails. So there's really nowhere to go. Yeah, that I'm buying Christian McCaffrey grails because they're 1/1000th the price. So the budget.
The price you paid on that Jokic is basically like the going rate for a Jordan Grail.
Yeah, but it's not the same. You know, I can get for that price, I can get like Jordan's 20th best Grail. You know, it's just in a PSA 4.
Right.
So that's what's really difficult, right? Is like sometimes you want to be a bigger fish in a smaller pond every once in a while rather than just being the small fish in the Jordan pond. So, all right, let's move on to this question. This is a question and a statement from Drake, who always has eloquently worded comments, and this one is no exception. All right, Drake says, we all know that cards have value. Yes, we do. And he says, and we all know that all markets, whether it's stocks, cards, or crypto, that they go through cycles. So if this truly is a hobby first, I'm not quite sure what, maybe this cycle, what will it take to shift the focus from markets and values back to the cards themselves? I prefer Instagram posts and stories that talk about why cards are meaningful and the chase for the card a lot more than people calling someone out or talking about why something or a player is better than something else or better than the player that someone else collects. If I could provide 2 words of wisdom to the hobby in general: 1, praise in public and criticize in private. 2, treat others how you'd like to be treated. Okay. React.
I mean, amen. You know, well said. We've been hopefully you've tuned into this show because we try our best to focus on the collecting aspect. You know, a lot of my content is just around that. I should have said something in announcements, but, you know, I had the return of Cardboard Chronicles because I, too, have been feeling kind of what Drake said there. And it's like, I feel like I have, you know, a bit of a responsibility to try to create some of that content myself. And that was, you know, the reason for bringing that back and having Brett on and being intentional about having someone focused on collecting and content around collecting. So, yeah, I mean, I agree. Obviously, we'd love to have more of that. Did he say 2 words in his thing?
Yeah, he said he had 2 words of wisdom. He meant 2 pieces. Pieces of
I thought he was like, give me your 2-word response, and I said more than 2 words.
No, that's good. Yeah, so the return of Cardboard Chronicles, by the way, features Brett of Stacking Slabs, who also recently celebrated a 2-year anniversary of his foray into content creation. And
nice.
That's a pretty solid guest to come back with after a hiatus. And then you also appeared on Slab Talk with Sports Card Therapist. So check that show out as well. Good episode. Okay, so here's my take on Drake's PC. All right, and I've had a little while to think about it, and I'm using it as a vehicle to communicate my own agenda.
What?
Trolls have taken control of hobby social media. And not just like they outnumber everybody else, although they do, but the troll mindset has taken control of hobby social media. And we largely have Lamim James to blame for this. There is a never-ending cycle. Like once you start on the cycle, it never ends, where everybody wants to out-edge oh, you're this edgy, I'm going to be a little more edgy. I'm going to be a little more edgy. And I'm going to care less than you. And, oh, you don't care? I care even less than how much you don't care. And watch how edgy I am. And watch how nihilistic I am. And I make fun of everything. Nothing serious. It's all just making fun of things, making fun of ourselves. And it just eventually spirals into a meaningless cloud of gibberish and nonsense. And we are closer to that in the hobby social media, I think, than it might seem. But, I don't know if there's any coming back. C. Keat says, welcome to the internet. Yes, indeed. And I don't know if there's any coming back from it, because I also think like the clout chasing has also devolved into just who can say the edgiest, most, silly, wildest thing. Who can do it, right? And then you have like people who come in who have very big egos. They want to be influencers, and they think, this community of introverted nerds in the hobby, I'm smarter than them. I'm more educated than them. Look at all my credentials. And also, I, of course, have more money than them. And then they try to buy cards and they realize, no, you don't. That guy who's 42 years old and lives in a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house in the middle of Nebraska, that guy has like a $2 million collection. And you're never going to catch him. And you should just stop trying. And so that can be frustrating, I think, for people who show up and think that they're, hot shit, and they're not. So I think they also quickly embrace trolling tactics to build clout. And yeah, it's just, I'm not sad about it. I'm not happy about it, but trolls, and more importantly, the troll mindset has taken over this hobby. And by the way, no shots fired at Lamim. He is the original troll, and I like what he does. Do you have any thoughts about that, about the troll mindset taking over the hobby?
Well, when he came in, it was like he came in at a time where it was needed, when it was just way too much positivity and everything was blown up, and we needed someone to kind of balance it out. But now you're right. Now it's turned into, a lot of people. The only reaction I have to everything you said is, why do people care about clout? I'll never understand the desire to have people you don't know think you're cool. It just doesn't make any sense to me. I get way more excitement out of my own friends thinking that I'm funny, and people like directly around me, or cool, or whatever the word is. And I'll just never understand the desire to have. I know you and I always joke about like going to dinner with a celebrity. That's just because I want to talk directly to LeBron. I don't have this desire to like be friends with a bunch of celebrities. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, that's a reverse clout thing. That's like you're giving all the power to them and their clout by saying, oh I would like to be friends with this pre-existing famous person. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hobby social media is in a weird place. I've never enjoyed it less than I do right now. And Instagram is an interesting medium as compared to like Twitter or Facebook. Because on Twitter or Facebook, if you post something, anybody in the public can come underneath and put a reply to it. And on Facebook, you can delete replies, if you want to. But on Twitter, you can't. If you tweet something out, you can have the full range of internet people reply to you. But on Instagram, the mode of communication being stories is you sort of have your private bully pulpit, and nobody can put their comments on it for your audience to see. You just kind of get to shout into your abyss. And if somebody wants to participate in your abyss, they can, but otherwise they can't. And that is the one saving grace of Instagram, is that you sort of can you can channel and tailor your message, and you don't have to worry about being like obviously like ransacked by trolls like the way you can on and I understand why Twitter and Facebook do it. It drives engagement, but the Instagram story is a really interesting and cool medium of communicating thoughts without having to seed your platform or whatever you want to call it to commenters. It's an interesting way to communicate things. So okay, but maybe that troll rant will be a little bit of foreshadowing depending upon other topics that we get to. All right. Okay, Gunther Cards says, can we compare last April's "the market is collapsing" dramatics to this April's "the market is collapsing" drama? What do you think?
Wasn't last year's just coming off the insane, 10, 20x from February and March?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and the total economy was going up. It was just a bounce back from how crazy the market was going up, and now it's different because we're actually in an economic recession, and inflation's high. There's all these different factors where people have less money to spend on cards potentially, and I don't know.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I'm already going to link this back to the troll takeover of the hobby. There's not an easier bit of edgy troll content than to make the meme and say, oh, my card investments, this is me, broke, poor, and naked, standing on the street corner asking for money because I lost all my money on cards. And it is funny. And we've all, experienced that. But that's the low-hanging fruit. That's obvious, easy hobby content to make. And I think the reason why, you see it, and I do it too. I posted a Karis LeVert card that went down 95%. It's my story a few days ago. It's really easy. It's funny. It's good. We all do it. But yeah, I just think that's part and parcel of this thing, man, is that no matter what's happening in the hobby, whether there actually is a market collapse or there's not, you're going to have a lot of people saying that there is. Here's another thing. There's a lot of people who have done well over cards in the last 1, 2, or 3. Yamwag says pity clouds. Yes. There's been a lot of people in cards, who have seen their collections go from being worth 50 or 100 grand 3 years ago. It's being worth maybe $1 million or $750,000 today. And, there's a little bit of pessimism, where they just, once you've made it, it's really easy to sort of look down from the mountaintop and sort of want to kick anybody else who's trying to climb up behind you. There's something oddly natural about that I do feel like happens in the hobby sometimes, where we don't really root for the next class behind us. We don't extend an arm down to lift them up. Instead, we sort of laugh and say, well, too bad you weren't here 3 years ago.
Right.
So, okay. Great provocative question here. All right. JP Sneaker Card Collector says, is there a better drug than nostalgia?
No. That's my favorite one. I don't drink caffeine, so nostalgia is my drug of choice.
Fair enough. I'm nitpicking with all the questions today. I don't think it's a drug. I think it's more of a vibe.
You're saucy this week, though.
I'm trolling.
We haven't even gotten to the stock stuff yet. You're still going.
I'm just. Plus, I'm a little bit tired because we were driving all day today.
Okay.
So, is there a better? Nostalgia is not quite a drug. Nostalgia is a vibe, and it's a great vibe. Isn't that kind of the engine of card collecting for us 80s and 90s kids? I think it is.
Oh yeah, that was the main point of entry for people in 2016, 2017, 2018. It wasn't about making money and flipping. It was more about just reconnecting to your childhood. And every single person had almost the same response on my show when I first started was like, oh, I collected in the 90s and the 80s and now I'm back, for nostalgia purposes. So when we always thought that was the main reason for the bump during COVID, and it wasn't because of the pandemic, or it was at least, as much of a factor given that no one else had given credit to it.
Yeah. Yep. And I don't know, man, without nostalgia, cards, the whole experience would be a lot different, I think. Yeah. It's almost the reason why, it pushes a lot of us over the edge. Like, hey, this is really fun, but the nostalgia factor and, the power of feeling like a kid again that's a pretty potent feeling, sensation.
Did you see that post I made about when I found that book of questions that, I did when I was 10 years old. And the question was like, what gift should your friends and family give you? And all I wrote was like basketball cards. So we're not making this stuff up, that this is all we thought about when we were kids to a certain extent, the Beckett magazines and trying to pick up $5 cards and trade with friends and binders and stuff. It was like, and we didn't have phones back then. We didn't have internet really. So like it kind of consumed our lives. And so, now at a time when we're super busy and everything's hectic, to be able to do something as simple as what we did when we were 10 is something that a lot of people are seeking. And I think that's kind of more of the pandemic answer, is that because we had less things to do in the pandemic, we're looking to find simpler things that took our mind off, the crap.
Yeah. Also, speaking of that, back in the 90s, used to love to read the stats on the backside of the card. That was really because we didn't have internet, but ironically, yeah, we didn't have that. It was like a training, right? Like you had the card is the same size as your phone. You're just sort of looking at it. It trained us to be craning our necks 24/7 looking at our phones. Well, okay, here's my challenge. Look, we have Basketball Reference now, so maybe can we step up the statistical presentation on the backside of cards? Can we get a little PER action going? Can we get a little box plus minus going? Can we get 538 Raptor rankings? Like, I don't know. Is that too much to ask?
Dude, there's no stats in the back of mine. It just says like, congrats, you bought the card with the game you used.
Yeah, they really let themselves, they really lowered the standard there. And I'd prefer to see us go the other way. All right. Card shop. Give me a reason to read the back of the card as a 35-year-old analytics nerd. Card shop dad says, what's a card that you love that most others think is overrated?
I did not see that question, so I didn't have time to think. Overrated? Is Galactic overrated? I don't know. I don't know what's overrated that I like.
Yeah, that is tough.
I just don't hear a lot of people saying like, oh, gold refractors and exquisite are overrated. I don't really hear that.
No, yeah. Well, that's what makes this question tough. I'm probably higher on National Treasure's RPAs than most people are. So there's that. I don't know. I've definitely heard noises especially from people who like
flawless pumpers.
Yeah, that.
No, but dude, those are people that own flawless, and they're trying to close the gap. They're trying to say, oh, this is as good as National Treasures. You guys need to care more. It's game used or whatever. So they're trying to close that gap to raise the value of theirs.
Yeah. Well, how about Black Prism? Is that overrated? I'm such a simp for Prism Blacks. No.
I'm just like struggling to find a group of people that's like, dude, Jordan PMG Reds, ugh, overrated.
Hey, listen up, Card Shop Dad. Nothing we like is overrated, baby. It's all underrated over here. That's basically the moral of our answer.
Cards that I like are undervalued, and you should go buy them. And cards that I don't like are terrible. And isn't that kind of the point of collecting? Is that you live in your own little bubble and world of like whatever you like is, you control your own collection. My own collection is my favorite, so I'm not going to say any of it's overrated.
Fair enough. Another one from Card Shop Dad. Can you talk about what causes you to start a new collection? Is it price point? Is it boredom? Or is it something else?
Mm. Probably like just getting excited about a new player or getting excited about the potential to build out a collection of a new player from scratch, and you kind of have this open world to yourself of all the things you could acquire, and it just is like it's like a collecting thing for me. Like as a, if you boil it all the way down to just being a collector and wanting to acquire items, there's a strong desire to have sort of unlimited potential of what you could collect, and opening it up to a new player really expands that and opens your your sort of excitement levels. Whereas with Jordan and LeBron, for us, we're kind of already narrowed into, we've only got a few items we could potentially go after.
Yeah, I guess we kind of did touch on this a little bit earlier. To me, it's completely and totally player driven. It's not based on price point. It's not based on boredom. Well, maybe it is based on boredom. I don't know, but it's totally player driven. If there's an athlete, retired or active, that I get really excited about for one reason or another, that's what's going to motivate me to start a new PC.
Yep. That's why I just hate to keep bragging, but I just love this PSA price guide, because it is what the modern collector thinks about, and how they organize their thoughts to price cards on players. To me, that's just the shift that's been made, and maybe that's just because we surround ourselves with people like that, and there are set collectors that we know are out there, but we just don't talk to them as much. I don't know.
Yep. Cardboard Junkie says, what are all the things that you consider before you make a six-figure purchase on a sports card? Pretty topical for you.
Is my wife going to divorce me? You guys don't have this problem.
Not quite.
No, it's more the opposite. It's like, if I don't buy this, will my spouse divorce me? Like,
the pressure, Chris, you don't have the pressure to buy cards for the social media. You have pressure to buy cards because Christina's going to laugh at you for not buying cards.
Yes. Yep. It's a constant one-upmanship over here.
actually, it is though, because I bought the Lucas Select Gold, and you were like, well, I'm gonna have to buy the Jokic Black, and then you bought the Jokic Black, and I was like, well, I'm gonna have to buy the Optic Luka Gold. Like, yeah, it actually is like a one-up.
That's not good. I don't like thinking about it like that.
I still have I haven't talked about it much on this channel, but I still have the, I don't want to call it the retire early, what is it called? Financial independence. Like, I still have that sort of baseline. So whenever I'm purchasing something that expensive, I try to balance, how does this affect my financial independence in future with how I balance my money? But that's the nice thing about cards. I don't think it necessarily can hinder it that much, because these are still, they're still items that are worth money. I could always sell it and take a loss at the worst and still have more cash to get back. So it doesn't play as much into it as it could.
Yeah. What are the things that I consider before making a six-figure purchase? Well, I've only done it once, so there's that. And why is that funny?
I just because I said.
And
I think I only have two or three. I have three. But yours is the most expensive. You have the most expensive, then I have three.
Yeah. At the time of the purchase, yeah. To me, it's a much more feelings-driven approach. To me, it's if at that price point, there's a passion in me that feels very strongly about acquiring that card at that price, and that will give me the experience or the rush or the excitement of taking my collection to a new level. That's the primary motivator for me. And so there's plenty of six-figure cards like Jordan Grails, like the 23rd best Jordan Grail, that won't give me the rush of feeling like it's taking my collection to another level. But a card like that Prism Black Jokic does. It really does. I can reasonably claim that I have one of his very best cards, and also kind of back up what I believe in my own basketball fandom. And now I have a real meaningful position and stake in Nikola Jokic fandom for the rest of his career. So that's that all those factors together. And you'll notice I never mentioned once in here, trying to figure out if the card is undervalued or overvalued, or it's not about that. To me, this is about assembling a collection that it's a form of self-expression. That's what collecting is, and it's like, what am I expressing if I add this card to my collection, and what does it say about me? Because that's kind of it. Wow, we're gonna get deep for a second here. At the end of this short life, what have I expressed? What have I done? What risks have I taken? What things have I done that are worth doing? And so I get I get pretty crazy when it comes to buying cards. Basically threw $250,000 down on a card just because I felt compelled to. I guess that's the end.
I have a follow-up for you.
Sure.
Well, first of all, the term you were looking for is YOLO, I believe.
YOLO, yeah.
Okay.
Big time.
Which, that term has kind of become lame and overused and cliche, but I still like it. It's still very valid to me. You really do only live once, so you might as well fucking enjoy it.
Yeah.
My follow-up question is, how we always joke about you buy the card and then the highest level of excitement is before you get it, and it's the mail day, and it's sort of that whole process. But when you're spending that much money, is that mostly just a joke, or do you actually feel like you spent all that money and now that excitement's all gone? Or with something at that level, is it different? Do you actually feel like you get more of a long-term sort of legacy play and excitement out of it?
Yeah, no, there's definitely it feels better once the money is out of the account, because then what's done is done. It's over. The purchase has been made, and then it's all riding on the card. And
right.
Sometimes when you buy a card, it really doesn't live up to what you wanted it to, and then other times it does, and other times it exceeds it. And you really you can't really know until the money's out of the account, the card's in your possession, and it's just you and that card alone together in the wilderness. Yeah.
With your bananas.
Oh my God.
That's when you know. Okay, all right.
You didn't answer the question at all. That's fine.
Well, I don't know. I think I misunderstood the question, but I've never let that stop me from giving an answer.
The question is do you still feel like you're getting value out of that money you spent on the Jokic? Do you still feel like now you're living with it? Was it still worth it? Are you sort of paying for it over the span of your life as opposed to this instant transactional feeling?
No, I don't feel like it's I don't feel like I'm amortizing the purchase over I paid it up front, but really, it's paying it month by month or something. No, it's just once you have the card, the card has to live on its own, because now that card is worth whatever the next person's willing to pay for it. It's no longer worth what you paid for it. So now that card has to, earn its place in your collection. And in the case of the Jokic, in a lot of ways, I feel like it's my best card. So it's earned its place, I think, for sure. But we'll see. It's still early. Still in the early innings. It could take a turn.
I liked your answer on It's always the first inning because they just swap out the shitty ones. Stop.
C. Keith says, I just hope Jokic doesn't pull a Darko Millet.
God.
Yeah, I don't know.
Did Darko win 2 MVPs or something?
I've got a lot of work to do educating this hobby on who Jokic is. Okay.
He's already got twice as many MVPs as Durant and the same amount as Curry, right? And those guys are top whatever.
Yep. Set it and forget it, says Amit. Okay.
Boing.
You know what, though? On this point, too, though, do you ever reach a point with your collection where you're like, I don't want to lose any of it, but, man, I feel pretty good about where it's at right now.
All that, like, right now I feel that way, yeah.
Yeah. And that's such a different sensation from what we felt in the first year, 2, 3 years, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because there's a lot of collectors out there that we talk to daily that are like everyone's in their own sort of point in their collecting that's different from everybody else. But it's hard for me to put my mind into the place of where guys that are just starting out. You know, it's really difficult because we just have so much that's happened to get to this point, and so many stories and cards that have been acquired. It's just hard to put yourself in that mindset.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like when I asked you that question. I felt like I've paid for that, for all of that. I haven't just paid for the card. I've paid for all of what's come with it. You know, the years of owning it and being able to retell the story of people that ask or people that come in new and discover that I own it, etc. I just feel like I'm getting so much value out of it.
I completely agree. I was reaching for the words. I couldn't quite put it that way, but I completely agree with that. I think you just nailed it. All right. Lots of good collector questions tonight. Here's another one from the OG, Cards and Candy 911. If you had to choose one card in your collection to pass down to your kids, one card, what would it be and why?
One card to pass down. I've always thought this topic was kind of silly, you know, like, oh, I'm going to buy this and hold it for 80 years until I die and give it to my kids. But it's kind of true. Like, what am I going to do? Sell it right before I die and then use it for a vacation? I'm not sure how that's going to work. I'm not old enough to think about that yet. One card, got to be the PMG Green Penny. I feel like that's just kind of the one card that you can kind of use to tell my collecting story the best.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. Man, I don't know, Christina. What would it be for you?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
Oh, that's okay. All right, that's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay.
The Jokic Black is like such a good representation of you because it's like the PER thing, the one-of-one thing. It just is you. That card is just like made for you.
Yeah, I know. I just don't want to keep droning on and on about that card. But yeah, that'd be my pick, to be honest with you.
Well, see, this is what I'm saying. That's the most money you've spent on a card.
Yep.
And we're just finding more and more ways to get value out of it. And this is another one.
Yeah, I'm pretty fucking excited about that card, but I'm not trying to be too weird about it.
I'm glad I could answer for you because it's just like, goddamn, these guys got in a lab and were like, Chris is really weird about this PER thing. He loves the one-on-ones. Here's like a machine-made PER guy. All he does is PER. And here's a one-on-one. It's just like that card was made in a lab for you.
C. Keith says you must hate your kid. All right, Christina, what's the one card? If you could pass the one card, what would it be?
It would be the Luca Prism Gold because it represents It represents the stop. Oh my god, your card is the fucking black Jokic, and you're making fun of me for choosing gold. Like, get the fuck out of here. But it because it represents the journey that of our collecting, and into modern players. Yeah, that's all.
Yep.
You guys really went out on a limb. Like, I know you, relative to what it's worth now, it seems silly to say that you overpaid or you kind of took this plunge. But at the time, dude, I remember thinking and talking to you guys about it and being like, oh my god, you're spending that much money on a freaking rookie. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, now it's just so easy to say that was a good move, but
I remember Josh trying to convince me to sell that card multiple times. Like,
For like a fifth of what it's worth today.
Like, Christina, what are you doing? Let's sell this card right now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You guys were at my house, and I was like, let me sell this for you right now.
Yeah.
All right.
You didn't listen to me.
G Git 412 says, ignoring value. If you could trade your whole collection for your number one Holy Grail card, would you do it?
No way. No way. No way.
Wow. Okay.
One card? I would feel so defeated if after all these years of work, I had one card. I'd be like, ugh. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, my answer to this is yes, I would do it.
You would trade all that for the green Jordan?
Yeah.
I feel like you could do that.
Yeah, like we never could before. We're probably pretty close to being able to do that now.
Why? Explain that to me. Why would you?
It just might happen.
Okay.
We know a guy who has like half of them.
It's like the ultimate consolidation. Like everyone else who says they consolidate is just a chump compared to that.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
He's a liar.
I think there's something amazing about. Look, I've always been enticed by owning cards that I have no business owning. And
Yeah.
that is the ultimate, I have no business owning that card play. So.
Just squint your eyes when you look at your red and just imagine that it's green.
I think the red looks better than green anyway.
There you go. All right.
I'm going to call bullshit on the answer. I call total bullshit. If that trade came up, you'd be like, no.
Yeah, no. That trade has already come up multiple times, Josh. Like, where that card is listed for sale, and, like, you could at the time, like, you could overextend yourself and do it, and he said no. So, I call bullshit. And I call bullshit because, like, you went and paid for the Jokic, and you could have, like, sold some stuff to fund it, and you were like, no, I'm going to keep my PC. Let's just pay for
That's not the same question.
Yeah, I even think, Christina, that he said at one point, he was like, okay, now that I sold the Jokic, I'm going to basically sell XYZ. I don't think that stuff's been sold yet.
No.
No, that's what I mean. Like, he has a hard time letting go of his PC cards, so I don't believe that he would trade all of them for this one card.
Yeah. Hey, Nerwin, we discussed your question very early on in the show, buddy. So once the show is over, just catch the replay. We talked about the triple autos very early on. Okay. Card Shop Dad says, what role, if any, do your cards play in retirement plans?
Well, this is a question for me, not you, I think.
Yeah. What's a retirement plan?
Right. A pretty big one. You know, I think about it when I'm buying cards, and I think about how it's going to potentially affect my ability to, you know, participate in the FIRE movement. I don't know. It's just weird because, you know, the day that you quote unquote are financially independent, you retire or whatever. You know, not really, but you say you retire. It's not like you have to make some ceremonial, you know, cash grab, and you just gather up all your cash and put it in the middle of the room and say, look, I retired. I did it. Here's all the money. You could just kind of base that out over time, and as it comes up that you need money, you'd sell one card or whatever. So I don't really see it as this need to hit a point where I either have all cards and all cash, or I have to sell everything at once. It's pretty fluid.
Yeah, I love that. I love that answer too. I think this is the topic where the two of us provide the most wide-ranging realm of opinions. Because, like, and, like, I think you're much more in a normal state of mind. I've got the contrarian take on this one. I think retirement sounds terrible. And I've always felt that way. And I think also, like, you can, I worry that I'll lose my edge if I'm just too comfortable in any regard. And And I also, and you know this about me, Christina definitely knows this about me. I'm not interested in making long-term plans. I'm not even interested in plans.
You're not interested in making short-term plans.
I'm not interested in making any plans. Yes. So, like I lean into the opposite, and I'm just like, I want to always feel like I'm not retired. I want to always feel like, I'm really leaning into something that's vocational, that's, that I really have my edge, and that I'm really like, it's really, everything is on the line. That's really kind of where I like to be. So, and I admire these basketball players, right, who get paid $200 million, on a supermax contract, and they still work their butts off and train incredibly hard and, compete. And like, that's the perfect place to be, is that. So I worry that I'm not as good as them. And that if I ever got to that point, which I never will, but if I ever got to that point, then I might lose some of my edge, like Eminem did once he got rich and his music started losing some of its edge. So, yeah, that's my answer to that. Sorry, George. George, we still are retired. George, we're retiring from the hobby, not from life. All right. Okay. Badger Pride 36 says, when PSA clears its backlog in a few months, do you think they should eliminate the value ultra modern service, the lowest service level? Because it seems like this is the most likely candidate to cause a new backlog. I doubt it's used much by set registry guys, and people can still submit ultra modern and economy and higher levels. So what do you think? Should value submissions, have to be at least 3 to 4 years old? No more ultra modern. What do you think?
No, I think PSA should be able to handle anything going forward.
Yep.
And I think that the reason that it happened the way it did, where things got shut down, was more so this perfect storm of that service level in combination with where the interest in the market was at the time, which was creating everything out of a box and base cards and finding value in anything. And I don't know that we're ever going to necessarily return to that. So I think there's already a pretty decent level of protection around that happening again, just based on how much the market has changed since then. But going back to what I said at the beginning, simply, I think PSA should be able to handle any service level going forward after the backlog is cleared.
Yeah, I think that's the disconnect here, is that PSA has scaled. You can look at the numbers that get published with how many cards they grade a month, and it's like a little shy of 1 million, I think, right now is how many they're grading on a per month basis. Dude, 1 million cards?
It's crazy.
That's an unfathomable number of cards. We just kind of see these numbers and don't really process how many cards 1 million cards is. We are no, I'm not even gonna make that joke anymore. Okay, so yeah, I think that's the disconnect here. PSA has the bandwidth to be able to grade all that stuff and not get backlogged. That's what I think.
And we've talked about on this show a lot where one of the driving forces of the success of this industry is the ability to grade and flip and continue down your path of collecting and using that as a catapult. And my brother's in the chat. He said, got to support the smaller hobbyists as well. That's part of it, right? You got to be able to support people at all layers. We can't just cater to, the super high-end people grading all these crazy cards. We need the people at all these levels to continue the hobby going forward. And I almost feel like that lower level is the most important. That's kind of what I thought when I saw that question. I was like, damn, that's the one I want to see back the most, because the experience that you gain from grading that lower end stuff is going to help you in the future. And it's just, you're paying it forward to these people that are grading at that level to keep them in long term. It just seems so important to me.
Yeah, very well said. I think what the question asker is getting at is,
no backlog.
Yeah, no backlog, please. And there's set collectors who are not using PSA services to, build a card flipping business or a card dealer business, but instead they're just trying to like, they just literally have OCD and they need their sets and PSA slabs and like, God damn it, they just want to be able to grade their cards. And I get where they're coming from too.
Well, this is capitalism, and we can't, set aside a thing just for set registry people. It's got to be, it's all or nothing. We either have that service or we don't.
Yeah. Yep. Right on. All right. I like that. Currency Project says all the great artists were emerging artists at one point in time. Well said.
Dude, everyone starts with 0 cards. That's just a fact.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. Do we want to talk about this stock stuff a little bit now? I wanted to bury
Of course, you fucking kidding me?
Okay.
Dude, first of all, the fact that no one said the word Jimmy Buckets yet is offensive to Jimmy Butler.
Okay.
That dude is a
talk
beast.
about Jimmy B too.
But I also want to, I'll start it. Tell us about the whole thing this week. You've been just completely consumed with it, and you.
Well, here I
say this jokingly, but you dragged me into it, and I had to get into it. It's been a crazy week.
Okay.
No, I don't.
Well, here's the questions. All right, I'll just read all of them. In Cardboard Veritas says, have you ever thought about whether you could compare the S&P 500 and the Card Ladder 50?
That's a joke.
Towny Card says, could you please compare stocks in the card market? Mostly 90s Basketball Card says, what do you guys think are the best stocks to buy right now? Red Ripper says, discuss the extreme overreaction to your S&P 500 versus Card Ladder 50 story post this week. KPB Card says, what inning is the S&P 500 in? So, okay. Guys having fun with it. And I like the guys who are having fun with it because, like, this is this is at once both a very light topic. This is one set of well-to-do guys arguing with another set of them mostly about which asset class got richer faster. And that's we have to kind of like appreciate the self-parody that is. Okay, that's number one. Number two, this is a very nerdy topic, but this is actually why I love the hobby, because there aren't many places like this. Is like basketball nerd Twitter, where there are big analytics debates happening, and 99.9% of the people are like, I don't care if offensive box plus minus is properly measuring the impact of rebounds for the point guard position. But there's a small subset of guys who are like very passionate about it. Okay.
Let's lay off the gendered terms, please.
I'm using guys in its plural genders, multi-gendered sense.
Thank you.
All right. So look, like those are two important prefixes to this discussion, is that this is in and of itself ludicrous and bordering on self-parody. All right. So the topic du jour is there anything wrong with comparing the Card Ladder 50 to the S&P 500?
Right.
And,
okay. I didn't know that was the topic.
You tell me what the topic is. I don't even know what the topic is.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the topic because people have been coming into my DMs as maybe thinking of me as the person who built like the app, right? The part that actually gets presented out through the application, and then you're the one that constructed how it gets formulated. So maybe they're trying to figure out whose DMs to go into to yell at. And I'm being yelled at I thought I was being yelled at for claiming that cards are performing better, but now you're saying we're being yelled at for just the straight idea that you would even try to compare.
Yeah, I think that is the there's like maybe a few strains of debate surrounding like whether the Card Ladder 50 performed better than the S&P 500. I don't think any serious person believes that. The numbers are just too overwhelming. So since 2004, the card letter 50 has appreciated 1,600%. Since 2004, the S&P 500, with the assumption that dividends are being reinvested, has appreciated 411%. And if you drop the assumption that dividends are being reinvested, which for the purposes of like purely measuring price appreciation is one way to do it, it's 240%. So it's a rout. It's not particularly close. And so I don't really think that there's not a lot of room for debate in terms of the absolute numbers.
So it's like, should you do this?
Yeah, it's more of like, is this appropriate? You know, let's look under the hood at the methodology of the card letter 50. Is it lying to us? Were the cards that compose the card letter 50 cherry picked to
Right.
tell a misleading story? In other words, the automatic assumption from the small pocket of critics of this practice is that the people who built the card letter indexes did so acting in bad faith, and that we built indexes that are rigged to make it look as if cards are doing much better than they are, and that we, are out to make the stock market look bad.
Right. That's the part that.
With that.
Okay, go on, Josh.
Well, that's the part that I took issue with, because now you're actually like questioning my integrity by saying that, right? You're actually like assuming that I'm going into it with bad intent to mislead people, and that's the part that I is like, all right, fine, now I have to say something.
Well,
right?
yeah, and it's a questionable tactic, and it shows that the people who are approaching it that way, I think maybe they're new and they don't, maybe they're not long for the hobby, or maybe they're projecting a little bit. Maybe that's it. But in either case, the assumption of bad faith is already sort of a non-starter for a back and forth intellectual discussion. In other words, if you think that the other side is operating in bad faith, there's really nowhere to go from there. So I don't think that's quite right. But also, you and I, we're one of the small handful of people who are A, full-time professionals in the sports card industry, and B, make content constantly in good faith, whether it's through the Card Ladder app or through social media or through Instagram or YouTube, constantly making content, trying to, shed light on empirical database approaches to the sports card industry, right? We're some of the very few who are doing that. And so, for someone to take such umbrage at the audacity of comparing the S&P 500, the almighty, to the card ladder 50, and for the tactic of discrediting that comparison to devolve into, assumptions of bad faith, insults on a personal level, trolling, at a certain point, it's like, why are they doing this? Is this in anyone's best interest? Is this an exercise in clout chasing? Is this in the hobby's best interest? I start to worry a little bit from what I've seen. Okay, there we go. So, like,
when we first started making Card Ladder, I don't even remember a single conversation we were like, dude, we're doing this to make stocks look stupid. That was never part of the discussion. It was like, let's make this. We made everything else in a vacuum of how we thought was the best way to explain sports cards to people, how to make it fun, how to make it research driven, how to make it exploratory of what's out there. The CL50 was literally the only thing we made where we were like, it would be cool to have something as sort of a baseline comparison to other asset classes. And this can kind of be the one that scholars can use if they want to write papers or they want to, understand it and research and have some sort of baseline compared to what they're familiar with, which is liquidity and asset classes and, charts and graphs. And so we made a pretty strong attempt on the CL50 to keep it as fair and objective as possible. But everything else, really, we never thought about it that way. That's why I'm like, why is this coming up so much? It's sports cards. Why would we try to compare it to stocks? It's not a freaking stock. It's a collectible. It's a different space.
Yeah, and I think focusing too much on, which is a tactic I think that gets used in society today a lot, is focusing on trying to muddy the waters and discredit the empirical research. Especially when there's no substance to it's just like, let me just throw up a big cloud of dust and hope that nobody's around when the dust settles to figure out that there's no substance to any of these critiques. And it gets used in a lot of avenues of life to try and take something that's empirically based or based in observational research or based in data, and just try and just confuse people. And just, try and create as much noise around it and as much confusion around it that people just say, well, this is too much for me. I'm not interested in it. So that's kind of the tactic being used here. And that's really unfortunate, because if you can just come to terms with what the data shows, if you can come to terms with the price appreciation of the S&P 500 versus the card ladder 50, if you can just accept the data for what it is, from there, then you can actually have the more interesting discussions, which, and some of them are, for example, why have cards routed stocks at least at this, somebody made the distinction, blue chip cards definitely route blue chip stocks, but it's not true to say that of the entire card market. And that's a totally fair point. So, but if we start, at a certain point, we have to sort of speak in generalities so that we can get somewhere and not put 8 footnotes on everything we say. But, if we can start exploring the interesting questions like why are cards performing this well? And, but the irony of that is we already talked about that at great length in many prior episodes about the psychology of collecting, about how the frictions of collecting sports cards are one of the drivers behind why this market is so unique. The fact that you can't go onto a marketplace and buy any card that you want, that you have to be very patient, you have to be methodical, you have to seek out these items. In other words, in short, the nature of these things as collectibles certainly has supercharged their market, plus nostalgia and the recent influx of lots of new people into the hobby that, weren't in the hobby 5 or 10 years ago. Anyway, I wanted to, so do you want to say anything about that? Because then I've got a few other things to say.
I wanted to say super quick, I'll keep it as brief as I can. I think I've noticed anecdotally for myself, and I'm sure a lot of other people, especially people that started collecting around the same time you and I did, have noticed hey, my card collection has really appreciated in value much more significantly and quickly than my stocks. And I actually have a decent amount of money in stocks and cards. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I'm able to speak on this topic fairly and objectively. I've just noticed anecdotally, hey, my cards have clobbered my stocks. And to be able to have data to go to and be like, hey, I'm not the only one, and this is real. There's a reason it's happened. I can actually research that. That's the more interesting story to me is like you said, why? So I've noticed it. People have noticed it. It's happened. We had a massive boom on the collectible asset space. Why isn't the next piece, to your point? Let's talk about why, and let's try to treat it. It's not a matter of me bragging about cards, because if I was smart and I wanted to brag, I would have just only bought cards and not had any money in stocks. As a self-reflection activity, I'm looking at it from the aspect of why did this happen on this end but not this, and that's the more interesting debate for me. So go ahead.
Yeah, it is, and we've got plenty of time in future episodes to discuss that. And like I said, we've already discussed it in past episodes. But since we kind of need to take a step back, maybe to get to address the criticisms. Here's I'll try to do it as quickly as possible here, but there are some, that are worth addressing. And yeah, people could just read our white paper and, figure out most of this stuff, but we can address it here, as well. So first of all, the idea that, you can't compare the prices of two different assets is strange, because stocks themselves as an asset class and more specifically, the measurement of stocks as an asset class is done by comparison to consumer goods. And so anybody who takes an issue with comparing the stock markets to the price of collectibles would need to explain why it's okay to compare the price appreciation of stocks to something like the Consumer Price Index. The Consumer Price Index is a basket of goods that economists track over time. And when price of that basket of goods, like the price of milk or the price of gas.
Literally milk.
Huh?
Like literally milk? Because we use that in our joke.
Literally milk. Literally
okay.
milk. All right? And
gas
so
and stuff. Yep.
in this Consumer Price Index, is the price of these goods is tracked over time. And then you get a long sample. And then if you want to know what the inflation rate is, it isn't a magic number that economists just pull out of a textbook somewhere. The inflation rate is just quite literally the change in price in the basket of goods over a period of a month or 3 months or 6 months or a year or 2 years or 10 years. Like when one of our colleagues asked us to compare the performance of cards to inflation before he used that information in his own context, I calculated the inflation rate using a consumer price index, the same way that economists would as well.
Are they cherry picking the items in the CPI?
They do pick them. Yes, they do pick them.
A human has to manually pick the items one way or the other.
That's right. And so the S&P 500's performance on a daily basis by serious economists who study this stuff, it is measured against the consumer price index. So when you see somebody say, hey, the S&P 500 outpaced inflation by 4% this year, all they're saying is the S&P 500 outperformed a basket of consumer goods by 4%. That's all they're saying, okay? And the consumer price index is a very important number. It's tied to cost of living adjustments that the government uses when determining pension plans for its employees. It's a very, very important number. And it's just changes in price of a basket of goods over time. So if it's okay to compare the price appreciation of consumer goods to the S&P 500 stocks, it certainly follows that it's just fine to compare the price appreciation of sports cards or the price appreciation of cryptocurrencies or the price appreciation of art or the price appreciation of take your pick, gold, whatever. It's a totally valid comparison on its face to compare a basket of goods or a basket of cards or whatever the case is. All we're doing is comparing price appreciation. It's literally as simple as that. It's a very common practice, but some people seem to have struggled with that concept. So that's how that works. Okay. And Goalie Card Collector points out that the basket of goods is constantly changing. So it's a bullshit number. Cards actually are, the card ladder index is more accurate. Yes, it is. That's the other thing that's
we changed it once. We changed it one time.
Yeah. So that's the other thing that's ironic about this to me as well, is that not only is the card ladder index, built with gone to great lengths to build it in a very fair way, but also it's more transparent and more easily understood. And the people who made it, have gone to as great of lengths as anybody ever has in index construction to make it completely transparent, completely freely available to the public. We are here answering questions about it on Friday nights after midnight. Okay, all right? Okay. So there's a couple critiques that came in. One is that were the cards that compose the card ladder 50 cherry-picked so that we make cards look good, but if we had built this index in, let's say, 2004, that it would have been full of prospects who went bust, and that that this is a cherry-picked index. And the answer to that is absolutely not. First of all, if we wanted to cherry-pick an index, I would just fill it with Steph Curry cards, and then the index would be up 146,000%. We could cherry-pick an index and probably show 1,000,000% return. And I'm not saying that facetiously. I quite literally think if we wanted to show a batch of 50 cards that has appreciated 1,000,000% from 2004 to 2022, which would be about 8x what Steph Curry cards have done since 2009, I think we probably could do it. So, no, first of all, 1,600% in the context of the appreciation that investment grade sports cards have seen is low. That's on the low side. Then second of all, and for example, if you here's some examples, our football card index has 3,500 cards in it. That index has appreciated 8,000% since 2004. 8,000. 8,000 is a larger number than 1,600.
And that includes base cards and things like that haven't performed well.
Correct.
It also doesn't include PMG green Kobe's that sell once every X years and appreciate way more than the stuff we do include.
Correct. So also naturally excluded from the indexes out of a sense of fairness and an attempt at accuracy, we built in the exclusion that if a card hasn't sold at least twice in the last year and at least once in the last 6 months, it has to meet both of those criteria. It's excluded. You will never see a Kobe PMG green in one of these indexes. You will never see a Tom Brady Prism Black 1/1 in one of these indexes. They will never make it. They don't meet the criteria for inclusion. All right. Okay. So that, and if we included those cards, all of these, the rates of appreciation on these total market indexes would be much larger. Okay. Also, so how would this index look different if it were constructed in 2004 rather than 2020? It wouldn't. Here's the cards that are in the index. It's the 1986 John Elway. It's the 1986 Michael Jordan. It's the 1989 Barry Sanders. It's the 1948 Jackie Robinson. It's the 1979 O-Pee-Chee Wayne Gretzky. It's the 1952 Mickey Mantle. If you pour over the 50 cards that compose the Card Ladder 50 index, you will find that somewhere between 80 and 90% of them are the exact same cards that would have been selected if this index were made in 2004. What about the other 10 to 20%? Those are modern cards like the 2013 Prism Giannis and the 2018 Silver Luka or the 2017 Mahomes. And the reason why that small subsection of cards has been inserted into the Card Ladder 50 is because we want that index to capture to some extent the upward and downward movements of ultra modern cards as well. That's why they're in there. If we were cherry picking the best performing Lukas and the best performing Giannis, it damn sure wouldn't be a Prism base and a Prism silver. So also people sort of tip their hand at how much they know about the hobby when they make accusations like that. And then finally,
was it Garrett that helped us construct it at the beginning?
Yes.
And Garrett comes from the financial world, so we actually got help from someone in this space to make sure we were doing it properly.
Yeah. Yes. And he messaged me today, and he had a comment to the he had a comment to the effect of like, very proud, you guys should be very proud of all the front end work that you did building these Card Ladder indexes because it paid off, and you've won the battle.
Remember how serious we took it when we were communicating with him through email, because we wanted to make damn sure that it needed to be good enough for him, because if it wasn't good enough for him, then we knew that this would come back to bite us, and we knew it had to be at least in front of the eyes of people who weren't us and weren't wrapped up in the card space and had someone with a different mindset.
Yep, right on. And then finally, with respect to market cap, and whether we could weight the index by market cap, there's two different answers to that. The first one is that it's not possible because historical population data doesn't exist going back to 2004. We don't know, for example, what the population of 86 Fleer Jordan PSA 9s was on February 1st, 2004, and we never will. So we can't build an index over time that's market cap weighted because we literally don't have the data to do it. But the second answer, there's definitely two sides to this debate that I'm certainly willing to acknowledge. But the second answer is that, well, why don't you weight it by price, so that whether a card is worth $10,000 or $500, that the percentage change is equally captured. And
1 to 1.
Yeah. And so we could do that. We could build price weighted indexes, but I think there's a few, and I understand the impulse for why, somebody might want to see that so that, well, if you don't price weight it, then, then price movements in more expensive cards are felt more dramatically than price movements in less expensive cards. And, okay, that's true, but should we care about that? Because, so here's the other side of the argument. In cards, first of all, there's a, there's a volatility in lower end cards. Like, for example, we have the 1986 Topps Traded Barry Bonds PSA 10, and that card's market value is about $400. That card could go to $300 and then to $500 and then back to $400 over the span of 3 months. And that's just a natural volatility that you don't see in stocks, but that you do see in cards, just because of auction conditions, quality of the photo that the person selling the card takes, and so on and so forth. But most importantly, there's something natural about cards moving up and down by $100, $200. It's something that's inherent to the card market, and it scales up, but not in proportion. So even a $10,000 card, if it were to be auctioned frequently, it might move up $200, down $200, but as a percentage of its total price, that's a very small percentage, versus a card that's $400 moving up 100 or moving down 200. That's a super large percentage. So that's something that, if you're familiar with the card market, you understand that card prices at these lower volumes they move at as large relative percentages of their price, just because that's how cards work and stocks don't work that way. But the second point, and the bigger point, I think, is that we actually care and that there's an argument actually for seeing cards that are worth more money be commensurately represented in indexes, because that level of that volume of cash being spent on a card is relatively more important to the card market than a smaller percentage of money being spent on a card. So when a $20,000 card, when somebody goes into their wallet and spends $20,000 on a card, and then a month later somebody goes into their wallet and spends $22,000 on a card, that's more significant as a 10% increase in price than if somebody spends $400 on a card this month and then $440 on a card the next month. The increase from $20,000 to $22,000 or $400 to $440 is 10% in both scenarios. But isn't it a lot more meaningful to the sports card market in particular that one card went up $2,000 versus the other one going up $40? And by the way, that $40 change very well falls within the margin of error when it comes to the variance that you see in sports card prices. So there actually is good reason for allowing the natural prices of these cards to be the organic weights, and to not tinker with it and to not manipulate it so that a $20,000 card going to $22,000 shows up as the same exact change in an index that a $400 card going to $440 would appear as in the index as well. And I think when you think about it that way and you say, hey, should the Jordan Fleer going from $20,000 to $22,000, should that be represented to the same extent that the Topps Traded Bonds going from $400 to $440 should be represented? I think most people who have an experience in cards are going to say, no, it shouldn't. There's a big difference between that Jordan going up $2,000 versus that Bonds going up 40, which very well might fall into a natural margin of error. Okay. That is a very nerdy discussion, Josh.
Jimmy Buckets. No, I mean,
Yeah, I'm ready to move on. I'm ready to move on from this topic, but I do love to talk about it. And by the way, last thought here. Shout out to all the financial advisors that are in the hobby. You guys are out there in numbers, and I've had the chance to talk to probably a few hundred of you guys this week, and it's been nice. It's been educational in a lot of cases. It's been fun. It's been tiresome, but overall, I think people taking such an interest in the card letter 50 has been awesome, and I'm pretty confident that we've made a lot of inroads with people discovering for the first time that the tools exist, and they're reliably constructed and well-constructed tools to measure performance of sports cards in an aggregate fashion.
I need some potassium after that discussion.
Yeah, I bet you do. All right. You want to say anything more on this topic? Because I'm good.
No, I'm beat on this. This is not something I would look forward to discussing every week, so I hope this one dies. No offense. I know you love this stuff, but I hope it dies a painful death.
Yeah, well, that's why I buried it in the episode too, because it's sort of my little my little troll job on the half a dozen goobers who have been pretty nasty this week that we had the audacity to compare cards and stocks. That my little troll job of them is, hey, if you guys want to get to this, if you guys want to get to the stock content, then listen to about an hour to an hour and a half's worth of collector content first, and then you can have your stock discussion.
Can I ask a question? The half dozen or so that you're talking about of trolls who are ridiculously nasty for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Are they did they admit that they're in the finance world, or are they just people who don't understand finance? So you trying to compare cards to finance just kind of scares them, and they're reacting aggressively in return.
I don't know, because I really don't consume any of their content. The only things that I've been replying to is people will DM me, and sometimes people are taking bullet points from other people that have been talking about it publicly, and so then I sort of get the gist of what other people are saying, because the accounts that it's really it's two people. It's in those two accounts, I don't follow them, and I never liked really much of what they had to say, but sometimes not everybody's gonna like what you have to say, and I don't know what else to say about it. I don't know about them, and also I have no interest in attacking them based on their credentials or lack thereof.
No,
I'm not trying to do that. All I'm saying, I'm just addressing the topics as they come.
Yeah, I'm not trying to attack them. I'm just trying to understand where they're coming from, because I'm not a finance person. I have my 401ks from the 3 companies that I've worked at since graduation, and those to me are set, and I don't really think about Fidelity and those companies do it for me. And, cards is where I have fun. So I'm just what for me, I haven't been active in this conversation because I'm really? I'm going to take advice from the people who got us in the housing market crisis, or I'm going to stick up for, or try to understand what you fucks are doing. I saw The Wolf of Wall Street. I don't trust you guys at all. And don't come at me. And I told people to fuck off in my DMs this week, when they've tried to make comments, because so I'm just so I'm just wondering. And you guys are laughing at a chat and message.
Okay, look, yeah, all right, just good. You had a nice rant there, Josh. Do you want to say anything to that?
No, God, no.
Okay, yeah. And by the way, this is a separate topic, and it is, it's my own sort of troll, but not a troll, to be honest with you. The stock market is a very corrupt, greedy, evil place on a lot of levels. And
The Big Short's like my second favorite movie of all time.
yes. And, if you start talking too much about stocks, or, it can get political, and I have less than zero interest in being political, but there's a lot of scandalous, downright evil behavior that goes on today in the stock market, and that historically has happened in the stock market. And so that's one of the great ironies of day traders or people who come from the background of, making their money in the stock markets, to come in and condescend to card collectors is really rich. Really, really, almost as rich as all of these day traders are, apparently, who, we should be very grateful that they grace us with their presence, and they're here to educate us on why we've, even though our hobby is doing pretty well, they're here to teach us why we're wrong, and why, if we just thought more like stock bros, that then we'd be doing it right. Yeah, okay. As Carvin says, wow, we had to listen to Chris rant for 2 people. There are 85 other people here suffering. Okay, that's a great point. All right, let's move on here. You want to talk about a little bit of basketball?
I just want to talk.
Well, take the floor, my friend. What do you? No. You want me to serve up a question here? Because we still have some funny ones.
I started this. This is I wanted you to do this one, so I'll let you have that. I want to talk about Jimmy Buckets, man.
Yeah.
What a fucking beast, dude.
Yeah, I agree, dude. I think he's been the best player in the playoffs.
Do you remember in the bubble finals, the Lakers went up 3-1, and it was just like, just give it to the Lakers. LeBron's going to get his 4th. It was just kind of this thing that was, basically going to end. In Game 5, I think Jimmy Buckets had 42 points. He had a similar game to tonight where it was like even though they lost the series, Jimmy just was not going to let it be that embarrassing. He wasn't just going to sit back and and that was what tonight was for me. I still feel like the Celtics are going to win in 7, but tonight just felt like, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to win this game tonight. He had 47 points, 9 rebounds. This is off memory. 47 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 4 steals, 1 block, 1 turnover, 4 threes. He hit 3 threes, and 2 threes in the rest of the series combined, and he hit 4 tonight. I mean, dude, what else does he – could he have played any better? Literally, he was almost perfect.
He was amazing, man. He was so amazing. Also, the Heat, I don't hear them making excuses, but they're missing the 6th man of the year for 3 straight games, and which is Tyler Hero. And Kyle Lowry is still coming back from injury, and he finally had something resembling a Kyle Lowry-esque game today, including
assists.
Yep, including lots of flopping as well.
Oh my god, dude. The camera caught him fake flopping 6 times tonight. I was like, dude, you did not get hit in the face. You can't throw your head.
But to be fair, both teams do their fair share.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so great recap of Butler's line. He also is perfect from the free throw line, 11 of 11.
Yeah. He's a fucking gamer, dude. He's a baller. There's nothing else you could say. When shit gets really hard, he just loves that.
Yeah, he does. But here's the thing, too, is that Butler's been dealing with knee swelling, and he missed a game in round 1, and it was able to actually have a week, basically, to recover from it. But it started flaring up again in the series, and they play every other day. He had no time to recover from it. But here's the thing, the previous 3 games in this series, he was really bad. So the game prior, he had 13 points on 4 of 18 shooting. That's awful. The game before that, he had 6 points on 3 of 14 shooting. And then the game before that, he had 8 points on 3 of 8 shooting. I think he left that game early. But, so overall, but then the 2 games before that, he put up 29 on 18 shots, which is marvelous. And then he put up 41 points on 19 shots in game 1, which is also magnificent. So, like I'm not saying that guy who put up 8, 6, and 13 on a buttload of shots, I'm not saying that's who Jimmy Butler is. It's not. He's been injured. He's been playing through it. His team is, once again, just like they were a few years ago, like this team is suffering from injuries quite a bit. But then to turn in the game he turned in tonight, playing every other night, and having put up these stale performances. I mean, that was probably the game of his career. The game that he played tonight.
That's the best game of these playoffs, right? Best game of these playoffs if you map it out.
I think it would have to be, yeah.
Dude, he was unbelievable. And the other thing I wanted to say, Jason Tatum had 7 turnovers. Jaylen Brown had 4. This keeps happening with these two guys. They keep turning the ball over. I don't know why they cannot dribble in traffic. They can't. They just keep getting the ball stripped, and that's a lot of credit to the Heat. They're very good at stripping the ball once they get into traffic. But man, those guys got to be better. They got to be smarter about driving, kick, and stuff. Like I don't know if they don't trust their 3-point shooting, but they just turn the ball over so much. Devastating turnovers.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Who do you got winning Game 7 in Miami? Boston. Boston once again steals home court, or steals it back in the case of round 2, and then
isn't the road team 4-2? So it's like
yeah, that's true. Miami's home record in this series is nothing to be proud of either.
Miami has the worst home court advantage in the entire NBA. It's an embarrassment how bad their home court advantage is. So it's basically a neutral site game for Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics fans travel well. I still am picking the Celtics. I think they're more talented. They have a better team in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Game 7. Anything can happen. Like if Tatum's going to turn the ball over 7 times and not shoot the ball in the fourth quarter. I think I saw him and Brown had like 2 field goal attempts and 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
if it wasn't for Derek White, that game could have been a blowout.
Yeah, that ain't good. In Tatum's defense, he did play a team high 45 minutes. He had 30 points on 9 of 12 field goals, which is pretty fucking efficient. And he was also 8 of 8 from the free throw line, plus 9 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 stocks. Oh, by the way, stocks, that's combining steals and blocks. Didn't mean to trigger anybody out there by talking about stocks outside of the context of the finance world. Stonks. Okay. So then I ran.
Who you got?
I got Miami. I think Miami wins this. I think the game that they played today was so. I thought Boston was going to win by 20, even as this game went into the fourth quarter and Miami was up a bucket or 2. I still was just waiting for the Boston onslaught because they've done that in the fourth quarter numerous times this playoffs. I was just waiting for it, and it never came. But honestly, like, not taking anything away from Miami, but man, they had some really tough shots go in at a really high clip in this game. So, a little bit of luck on their side tonight as well.
I think Boston's going to win by 10. They're going to recover from this and they're going to win, I think. But I'm more thinking about who's the better team equipped to take out these goddamn Warriors. That's what you should be thinking about. I think that's the Celtics. They got the team speed to be able to chase around all the movement from the Warriors. So I think the Celtics are a better matchup if we want to play that game. But I don't know, dude. Where's Bam Adebayo been? This guy's like on the sides of milk cartons right now.
Yeah, well, Bam Adebayo is exceptional in this series when Robert Williams III is not playing. When Time Lord does play, he disappears. That's how freaking good Time Lord and the team defense is when Time Lord plays. But look, whether it's Miami or Boston, either one of those teams is going to present and exploit naturally Golden State's biggest weakness, which is the 5 position. Bam Adebayo is in a completely different class of player than Nemanja Bjelica and Kevon Looney.
Come on, Billy.
And same goes for Robert Williams III and Al Horford. Those guys will eat Kevon Looney and Nemanja Bjelica's lunch and dinner and breakfast. Oh, and one other thing about Golden State, by the way, and you might particularly get a kick out of this. In the first round, they got to play Denver, who didn't have Jamal Murray. In the second round, they got to play Memphis. And, you know, whatever I've said about Ja Morant in the past, Ja Morant was exceptional down the stretch, especially in the fourth quarter against the Warriors. They couldn't guard him. And so then they got to play Memphis without Ja Morant for the latter half of that series. And then in the Dallas series, Dallas was without their highest paid player for the entirety of that series, who, trivia question for those who don't know, that's Tim Hardaway Jr. That's right. Tim Hardaway Jr. is the highest paid player on the Mavericks. And by the way, the Warriors, the totality of salaries paid by the Warriors is $180 million. The teams that they played were like 120. At least that's what Dallas was. So Golden State has had, you know, and this is true for any team that gets to the finals. They've had luck on their side. They also deserve it. They also deserve it. They've been really good. You know, if it's not Clay, it's Curry. If it's not Curry, it's Poole. If it's not Poole, it's Wiggins. If it's not Wiggins, it's Looney. If it's not Looney, it's Draymond. They've got so many talented players. They play really well. They earned it. Congratulations. They got to the finals. But, dude, they're going to go up against a Heat or a Celtics team that, A, is defensively better than anybody they've played so far by a wide margin, and B, has bigs that are going to punish the Warriors where they are the absolute weakest. Dude, DeMarcus Cousins was carving up the Warriors on both sides of the ball. DeMarcus Cousins. These guys, Robert Williams, Horford, Grant Williams, you know, or on the other side, Adebayo, these guys are going to give the Warriors all types of problems.
Yeah, I just don't see it from the Heat. They don't have enough scoring for me. Like, they've just got too many average scorers, and the Warriors have, like, top-end scorers. It's just, it feels like it's too much to me. But Celtics, I feel like, could give them some more problems. We'll see. I mean, someone in the chat's like, why do you hate the Warriors? Dude, the Warriors prevented my favorite player of all time from winning, like, at least 2 extra championships. I'm allowed to be a little salty. You know? Like, I'm a fan first. This is my favorite sport, and LeBron's my favorite player. The Warriors dynasty and their sort of, you know, ability to continuously add new players to the mix and inflate Steph Curry's value is just annoying.
Hey, look, on Clubhouse today, I was listening to guys from New York talk about how much they hate Michael Jordan, and he has cheeseburger eyes. Okay? That was the first time I ever heard that. He said he has, like, cheeseburger. His eyes are always cloudy because he's always smoking cigars and drinking or something. I'd never heard it before, but I heard that stuff on Clubhouse today. All right? But look, I can't hold it against New York guys that they hate Michael Jordan. Of course they hate Michael Jordan. They're supposed to hate Michael Jordan, right? So, like,
yes.
That's something like that. Me as a fan, sometimes of podcasts and stuff, I get upset when the host doesn't like my player or my team. But, like, there's good if somebody actually doesn't like somebody else. There's a good reason for it. All right,
yeah, and I don't get paid to analyze basketball and be unbiased. I'm not an announcer. You know, I'm not a freaking analyst for. I'm not paid to analyze teams in the middle. I make content about sports cards. I'm allowed to hate the Warriors. Get over it.
Yes, you are, sir. Okay, all right.
And Steph Curry is the most overrated player right now. People are telling me that he's better than Durant now just based on this whole shakeup. Dude, did you watch the Nets this year? That team is a fucking disaster. They can't even get their guys to play basketball, and the Warriors have way more depth, way more talent, better coaching. They've got better management, better ownership. The franchise is better. Of course, Curry's performing better on a team-by-team basis against Durant. Dude, Curry didn't make the playoffs last year without Klay Thompson, and Durant could have won the championship basically by himself with Harden limping around and no Kyrie. So I don't really like. I don't really feel like doing the whole Curry versus Durant thing. Durant's the one that won the Finals MVPs. He was the one going up against LeBron toe to toe. Curry's obviously a spectacular player, best shooter of all time. He deserves all of his accolades, but I feel like we're just using the team argument to just make Curry better than all these superior players, and it's just annoying as hell.
Yeah. Also, Steph Curry did the night-night thing to two of the teams that I was rooting for in these playoffs, so I'm not being nice to Curry either. I'm not going to balance this discussion. I'm gonna just drop this. I'm going to float in from my parachute, drop this, and then like use that Dark Knight tool like to grab onto the helicopter and just helicopter out.
Well, dude, you've laid the foundation and the path for using analytics to make your arguments over Instagram stories. So I promise you this, if the Warriors win the championship and I have to start hearing that Curry is on par with LeBron because of the 4 championships, you are going to see me unleash hell on Instagram.
Good.
I've got pounds and miles and meters of data that will clobber any of those arguments.
All right, I'm just here. Okay, I'm parachuting in and then I'm ejecting quickly. All right, here I come. Woo!
You're the little like G.I. Joe guy.
Here I come. Okay. It must be nice in a closeout game at home to be able to shoot 17 shots, make 5 of them for a field goal percentage of 29%, score 15 points while 4 other players on your team, including Draymond Green, score more points than you, and still be on a team that's talented enough to win a Western Conference Finals closeout game by 10 points, and still get to sit back and be awarded with the MVP of the Western Conference Finals. It must be nice.
He barely played the fourth quarter when the game like started to pull away. He was on the bench for like the first 2/3 of the fourth quarter. He was sitting there laughing at with 6 minutes to go in the fourth as they extended the lead.
And then here's me ejecting. Pew! And I just ejected.
Dude, if LeBron didn't score 40 whatever the hell points per game in the finals against them, just imagine that team, how much they would have lost by. They got swept in 2018. It would have just been a complete bludgeoning. If Curry didn't play, they still probably win. It's like, this is where VORP is one of my favorite stats because it's like, let the hate flow. Thank you, Nick. Let me be. Let me live my life. This is my show. You're on my show.
All right. That's great.
LeBron truthers are here. I'm here. Come at me. Let's go.
Yeah. So we had a question that amused me greatly from.
Do I get to hate on something?
No. It's not. Oh, here it is. It's from the same topic. This is from Cards and Candy 911. And just pretend that I said, "Tell me that you're a Steph Curry fan," without telling me that you're a Steph Curry fan.
Oh, please, come on, bring it. Bring it on.
What do collectors... Oh, fuck, that's the wrong question. Damn it. Oh, I just set up so nicely. For what? All right, well, I don't know what happened to it. I remember it. Here's the gist of the question.
All right.
The gist of the question is, why do people care so much about finals MVPs?
Oh, I care greatly about finals MVPs.
Why?
Because it's quite literally the best player on the team that wins the championship, which is the goal of basketball. That your ultimate goal as an individual should be to compile finals MVPs. You play the game to win finals MVPs because it's the perfect combination of winning and individual accolades.
Yeah, it's pretty much the ultimate achievement in basketball as an individual player.
Let me just say, it's not always the winning team who wins that. Jerry West won finals MVP when the Lakers lost.
Always count on Christina to
is it overrated? Is it an overrated individual accolade?
No. It's properly rated.
How many? I mean, it's my favorite individual thing to point to.
And I would say that I would even say this. I would say it's best to have a Finals MVP. It's worse to have no Finals MVPs, but the very worst case scenario for trying to argue about a player's all-time greatness is if they went to the finals, won in the finals, and still have no Finals MVPs. That's the worst case scenario, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like this whole Finals MVP really helps my argument in LeBron versus Steph because I think Iguodala won one over him. That's what you're getting at, but like this, I like Finals MVP because Kawhi Leonard doesn't have really good individual counting stats because he doesn't play. He sits out regular season games. He does this. He's injured and he's kind of weird. He's got 2 Finals MVPs with 2 different teams. So I can use the Finals MVP as a piece in my argument to say that Kawhi Leonard is a really, really good player, and I know him to be a good player because I've watched him play, and I've seen a lot of his stuff, and his individual per 48-minute stats are really high, and we know he's a great player when in the clutch time because of the Finals MVPs. I don't know. It's not like the end all be all. It's not the best, but it's there. It's a statistic. It's something to point to, right?
100%.
It's not 0.
Well, look, KPB Cards points out, quite rightly, Steph Curry has the most ever conference finals MVPs, which is something to think about.
I swear to God, they made that award so that he could finally win a playoff award.
I agree.
Okay, all right. Oh my God, she couldn't wait to come out. Look, if we're all three just hating on Curry, like.
No, next question. Don't do it. I'll just leave if you start loving Curry right now.
No, well, here's the thing. I ran 2 polls today on my story, and each one got about 250 votes before the show started. The first one was, if the finals is Golden State versus Boston, who will you root for? All right, Who will you root for? And it was 55% for Golden State, 45% for Boston. And then the second poll, Golden State versus Miami, 75% would root for Golden State, and 25% would root for Miami. What do you think?
Yeah, that's because I think that there's more people that have expensive Jason Tatum cards than have Jimmy Butler cards. That's the reason for that.
But what about those of us who don't have skin in either game? We don't own Curry cards, we don't own Tatum cards, we don't own Butler cards. We're just like at a certain point, it's almost more like, which team do I want to root against? So I'll be rooting, for Miami and here, honestly, look, this might be my hierarchy. All right. I will root for Miami over Golden State, but I might root for Golden State over Boston.
Why?
Oh, because I don't want to spend the next 6 months hearing about how Jason Tatum is better than Luka.
Yeah, it's almost like because our team is out, now it's like you're actively going to root against a team just to avoid the annoyance of the people who are going to prop them up. That's exactly how I feel about it.
Yes. So look, our priority.
My camp is more. I don't want to hear about Curry. Yours is apparently Tatum. I get it.
Yes, but I don't want to hear about Curry either, especially because it's just so cocky in game 1 and in game 2 to do this thing. It's so arrogant that it left the bed.
Dude, they've been doing that. He's been shimmying and doing this stuff for years, man. This is not new. They've had this complex for a long time, and a lot of it's like, the Silicon Valley fan base, the younger fan base that's very cocky. This is not new.
Yeah. Great. Well, look, we're going to be hate watching the finals.
Bring it on. I kind of hope the Celtics win now so that we can just hate on everything.
So that we have all our hater bases covered. Yeah.
It's like you can't really hate Jimmy Butler at this point, right? Like he's way too, I hate to use this, but he's way too undervalued or under-respected for you to hate Jimmy Butler. Like it doesn't make any sense because the Miami Heat winning the championship is the worst outcome for the hobby because no needle will move anywhere. It'll just be the same as last year. There will be no movement on anything. Nobody will care, you know?
Also,
whereas if the Celtics win, Tatum pump is going to go to the moon. If Warriors win, it's the Curry stuff.
yeah. Also, let me just say this too. All right, good. Josh is taking a break. I'll say this. I wonder if, and he can still hear, and I wonder if Christina. Okay, good. And I wonder if Christina feels this way too. Yes, it was disappointing that the Mavericks, their playoff run ended. Their miraculous playoff run came to an end, and that was disappointing. But man, it also came with a wave of relief. And the stress and the anxiety of every other game, so much on the line. I'm not quite built for it yet. I will be next year. I've been through this once now, and it was really fun in rounds 1 and 2. But man, when the stress, just 3 rounds of just living and dying on every possession being played against really good basketball teams. I'm not super mad that the run is over and I don't have another month of this.
Imagine if your favorite player went to the finals 8 years in a row.
Yeah, I imagine that would be a little bit of a sweat.
No, that was a mean thing to dangle over you. It's playoff basketball is stressful, man. It's like if you win, people are mad at you, like us. We hate on you, but if you lose, it's just pure pain. So it's really tough either way.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm just saying, I'll be ready next year. I'll be ready for a longer run. But I went as far as I could go this year. I carried this team as far as I could. I got to my wit's end, and it was a lot of fun, but it was just it was just a lot.
What's your outlook as a Mavs fan about the roster? Are you happy with just re-signing Brunson and maybe adding a couple complementary pieces, or are you one of those we got to go get a superstar? Where are you at with that?
Dude, our highest paid player didn't even play in the playoffs. We have lots of moves we can make, but I don't really want to make any moves, to be completely honest with you. I think the team as constructed was good enough. And I will not go into the whole fucking shot quality thing that nobody wants to hear about. But I will say that the team as constructed was good enough, and that there also is plenty of room for improvement at the 5. And that's not a knock against Maxi Kleber because he's our stretch 5. But we need a guy who also can be the traditional 5. So if we were to take on, a 5 who can protect the rim and who can grab rebounds for us. Dude, Dwight Powell had -3 rebounds in the Warriors series. Our guys were getting no rebounds. Dude, down the stretch in that game 5, Kevon Looney was just getting offensive rebound after offensive rebound, and it was rough. So that's the one very obvious, unambiguous place of improvement, is getting a big who can play the traditional role. And here's the thing about it. All right. If you get a big like that, then here's what the Warriors will do. The Warriors will say, okay, we're going to go small ball. Well, we can go small ball too. We can go Kleber 5 outs. We already have that. Yeah. But we don't have the option to counter, as ludicrous as it sounds to say this, we don't have the option to counter a Kevon Looney. Okay, and that's a problem. So we need that big who can clean the glass for us, who can protect the rim, who can protect the paint. And if we get that, then we might not even end up needing him. Okay, we might not, because the other teams might say, screw that, we're going to go small. We already can go small. But that's the one place of improvement, I think, that exists that would be an unambiguous upgrade with no risk, is just improve on Dwight Powell. And honestly, that's not going to be hard to do.
Well, I love how every team in the NBA is we'll just take Ayton. He's just fucking going to walk in your building for free. The Suns aren't going to let him walk for free. He's a restricted free agent. We can match any deal. So we're going to either force a sign and trade or match. So you're not getting Ayton for free, any team. So just get over that.
I don't want want Ayton, you can keep him.
We don't even need a guy we need 75% of Ayton.
Yeah.
That'd be
I don't want to
enough
pay for
me.
Ayton.
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, he's expensive. I don't want to pay for Aiden, dude.
Well, what are you going to do? What would you like to see the Suns do?
I don't know. LeBron played with that initial Cavs team for 7 years, so I kind of laugh at, people saying Luka needs to go to another team or he needs to get Jokic. Like, there's a process to this. I think I wouldn't just blow it up. I agree with you basically. I think you got to run it back and improve your team as best you can. Obviously, you don't just keep it the exact same. But same for the Suns. They made the finals last year. They had the best record in the NBA. They ran into Luka. Luka just beat them. I wouldn't overreact necessarily to one series. I think you said it's you need 23 games. I would make incremental improvements. I personally would bring Ayton back. He's only 23. I would bring him back. And if you can't bring him back, try to get I think the best one I saw was the Pacers, where you could potentially get back a Miles Turner and a draft pick or something like that, because they've got pretty decent depth at center. And I would be more focused on improving Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Booker. That'd be my focus. How can we make these three guys better? How can we improve the scheme to match up better in individual playoff series for those three guys? How can we maybe try to improve the Jay Crowder spot? But I feel like every team's going to have a weakness. Not every team's going to have an all-star starting five, so it's unrealistic to say, let's just upgrade Jay Crowder. How do you do that? You can't just get a better player when you're already over the salary cap. Fans in Phoenix are just upgrade Jay Crowder to LeBron. It's what? Doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Or just trade for Kevin Durant. I keep saying that. Trade? What the fuck are you talking about? Wow. How do you even do that?
You're triggering a thought in my brain here, because I've observed this too, but hearing somebody else observe it gave me an idea. So same thing with Mavs. With the podcast, the fans, they want to do all these big moves. Get Zach LaVine, get Rudy Gobert, ship out this guy, ship out this guy, ship out that
$40 million Rudy Gobert?
Yeah, right. And whereas I look at it, I'm just man, you guys were plenty good. You can improve a little bit at the margins. This team still can learn to play together better. Luka can get better. Luka can get better on defense. And there are plenty of ways that we can get better without needing to make seismic changes. Okay, but there's something very natural about as a fan, you want to contribute. So you'll work up a lot of intellectual energy, thinking about all these scenarios and stuff. So you're contributing somehow to your team. Well, here's a new take. Here's how you can contribute to your team. Take to social media or group chats or friend groups and just channel all of that energy on behalf of your team into hating your opponent. Just do battle with 10 of your 10 fans of the opposing team. Just do battle with them. And
that's what we do.
Yes. And just channel. You don't need to rebuild the roster. And honestly, it can actually be counterproductive if talk radio and what if instead of talk radio, Dallas talk radio, what if instead of it being Golden State just outplayed us, and here's all the things we need to do to get better if we really want to compete, and here's 80,000 trades. Forget all that. What if instead I turned it on and they were Golden State is overrated. Here's 8 reasons why Steph Curry sucks.
I would eat that content up.
Yes. 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 That's all.
I don't know, man. I just love dude, I'm in all the Phoenix Suns, Facebook chats and all that crap, and it's I heard a rumor trading for Kevin Durant. In what fucking world? First of all, financially, there's no way. Second of all, why would Kevin Durant do that? It's just what do you guys get off on thinking that Kevin Durant wants to come to your team?
Because I saw this. Kevin Durant, on a podcast years ago, said Phoenix is his favorite city to visit. And then it got regurgitated, on Twitter recently, or wherever, Reddit, or wherever it started. And then, nobody's putting the context on it that is for a while ago. Oh, he just said he wants to come to Phoenix.
It's so much his favorite city that when he was an unrestricted free agent, he chose Brooklyn over Phoenix. Yeah.
Nice fucking Zoom. I enjoyed that Zoom a lot.
Well, come on. And I saw people saying that the Lakers are going to trade LeBron. Dude, Nothing would make me happier. I would buy season tickets in a second. I'd build a bot just to get season tickets faster.
What's the LeBron theory that he wants to come play with Chris Paul on a contender, basically?
Yeah. Well, it's also the theory that like the Lakers management is sick of him and they would proactively trade him away, and it's not that LeBron would ask for it.
No
Which
way.
Dude, I've heard it all. I've heard it all.
Wow.
Do you know how much of a rock hard whatever I'd get if LeBron came to Phoenix? Like, you don't want that. No, nobody on the internet deserves to hear me talk about.
That's called going from 6 to midnight.
No one deserves that. So let's just hope it doesn't happen for everyone else's sake.
Booker for LeBron straight up. Yeah, I think Josh would take that.
No, I think the biggest improvement the Suns can make is Booker needs to be a whole lot better. He needs to admit that he's not this Mamba mentality thing, and he needs to actually focus on getting better as a basketball player. Because he is the reason they lost, in my opinion.
Yep. Okay. Do you want to cycle through any more questions here?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Upstate sports cars. I have no opinion on this topic. I'm not qualified to answer it, but you might.
Oh, let's go.
Randy Moss or Jerry Rice for the greatest wide receiver of all time?
Randy Moss with the higher ceiling, higher peak. Jerry Rice, way more consistent, more durable, played for a lot longer, better stats overall, better quarterbacks. I'd say Jerry Rice. I really appreciate, as a LeBron fan, I really appreciate the guy who plays for 20 years consistently. I have a soft spot for that person.
Awesome. I'm taking mental notes, and that's going to be my go-to.
And he was like traditionally, below average speed, below average like combine stuff, and he still just sort of came out with these insane numbers. I know he had Montana and Young, but you still got to catch the ball and run the routes. Maybe Montana and Young were good because of Rice. Do you ever think about that?
I did now. Okay. Hot Sauce Sports Card says, what's your favorite basketball product that's still in production?
Ooh, this is yours. I answered the last one. This is yours. I have no clue.
This is so easy. Prism. I'm the Prism simp of all Prism simps. All right. Slab Labs. Oh, this question could take 20 minutes, but I'm not going to do it. Opinions on non-game used patches.
Oh. Well, I live in the moment. I just picked up a game used card. You got to have the game used, bro. It's undervalued. Anyone that tells you.
Undervalued!
It's way more for me about the aesthetic of how the jersey works into the card than the fact of whether it's game used or not. That's my wrap up. We've talked about it a lot on the show. That's my short answer.
Yeah. I'm just going to let that live.
You said you always give the best answer to this.
I know,
you could just go buy a game used jersey yourself and it's worth less than the card.
Yes. We've fucking talked about this 6 times. I'm over it. I'm not the guy who just gives the same spiel over and over again. I'll give it a few times, then I'm over it, and it just doesn't light me up anymore.
Plus, by
the way, game used is actually really cool too. I do think it's really cool. So
I do too.
Yes.
If I had to choose, I'm gonna, because the card I got today was game used, I'm gonna use that as part of my story because it's extra.
Oh. And it is cool, dude. And game used. Here's one of the most important parts about game used. Is a guy who doesn't care really about game used very much because I don't really collect memorabilia cards. Here's the really cool thing about it. Explaining that card to somebody who's not in the hobby, it's
boom
million bazillion times better when they're like, oh, what's that jersey? Like, oh, that's from one of his games. Versus, oh, what's that jersey? Oh, he put that on in a photo shoot.
You might have. Some of them aren't even associated with certain players.
Correct. Of the last year's worth of NT, that's true.
And trying to explain to someone that's on the fringe of joining the hobby, and they're like, what? You got that at Dick's Sporting Goods? That's super lame, dude. I'm like, you're right. It is lame.
This guy, the great Tom Brady collection, joined the chat and then just fucking fires off a question immediately. How's the Luka market now? Doing about as well as Tom Brady collectors are. image-wise after that comment.
I saw.
Really, bro? You
someone
just
make a
came in. You
public-
just popped into here to talk shit about the Luka market. You weren't even in here for 5 seconds, and you're just like,
Dude, I thought.
haha, Luka fucking sucks. Your cards are worth $0. All right,
I
bud.
think it was. I think it was Gunther who posted like basically that the Tom Brady market is the most pure market because he's got the best collectors and they're just collectors, not investors. I was like, give me a fucking break. Every high-end guy has investors and collectors. Nobody can actually claim they have the most pure market. Give me a break. I was gonna say on that card that I picked up, I showed Sammy, my son, and I was like trying to explain the jersey thing to him, and he was like, he wore that small of a jersey. Yeah, he didn't get that they cut it up. So I was like, oh, they took his jersey and then they cut it apart. And he was like, why would they do that? I'm like, yeah, it's.
Damn.
I love little kids because they're just they just give it to you straight, and you're just like, God damn it, you're right. This is weird. They cut up his jersey. All right, it's weird.
Yeah. It's always great when how old is Sammy?
6.
It's always great when a 6-year-old can, in a matter of seconds, completely
Master.
deconstruct and dissect our entire life path.
It was like 2 seconds. Like I barely had his attention, and he's like, cool. Did he wear that jersey? Why is it so small? I'm like,
Knowing Sammy too,
I'm not like,
he may have may have been like a troll job too. Like he might have actually known that Tom Brady's not that small, or I mean LeBron is not that small, but he still just wanted to mess with you a little bit.
and he knew that I somehow knew that I spent $100,000 on that car.
Yes. Sammy would get a great thrill out of that.
He's like, wow, I'm going to fucking make you look like a fool right now. That card is silly looking. Dad, let me get back to my whatever,
Yeah. Brady patch on-card autos are lambs of God.
I think this guy's about to say that Tom Brady's undervalued. I'm waiting for it. This guy, you can come into these chats and just have an agenda so quick. I love it. Let's go.
I just was struck by that guy. I don't even know how his fingers move that fast. He probably copy and pasted.
Joined. Lucas sucks.
He was like, fuck this. He was like, before I even join the chat, I'm having a Lucas sucks message ready to go. Paste.
Hey, man, last week or 2 weeks ago when you guys knocked us out, I was on full defense mode for CP3. Now it's your turn. This is your week to be on defense, and you're going to get way less of it. Luka was great.
Yeah, and it is, and it's unfair. But he says I did. All right.
I love the honesty, man. Love it.
Oh, love it. Love it. Okay. All right. I just came up with my answer to this question now. This came from Card Shop Dad. MVP of the night. What card do you wish had a gold parallel? Whether out of 10 or out of 50, doesn't matter. But what card do you wish had a gold parallel? That doesn't happen,
well,
obviously.
It does matter out of 50.
I'm saying you want to go with out of 50, go with out of 50. Whichever out of you want to go with.
Well, I'm just saying that's the correct answer. So let's start there. Shout out to Brett Stacking Slabs. We both were like, we both like the 50. Okay. None. The answer is none. If it's not meant to have a 50, I don't want it. Like I don't want a 50 or I don't want a gold parallel of a card that shouldn't have a gold parallel.
Look, I like the way we're rolling right now. That answer had some flavor to it and I like it. But I'm going against that grain.
Oh, the PMG gold.
Well, no, we have the green. We have the fucking green, which is out of 10.
No, I know, but the gold out of 1.
Well, I mean, that'd be way better, yeah. That'd be great if that card existed. Or, how about the 86 Flair? How about 50 gold refractors of the 86 Flair?
I like the Kobe Topps Chromancer, too.
Oh, well, look. It'd be really stupid for there to be 50 gold Jordan 86 Fleers because that card is not chromium and a million other reasons. So, like, yeah,
right.
The 96 Chrome Kobe definitely deserves a gold out of 50. All right. But if I can just really have my fantasy, I want the 1986 Jordan. No, this is why I fucking
Chromium.
I want the 1984 Prism with the same configuration as 2013 Prism. I want the fucking black. I want the black mosaic. I want the gold.
Hold on a second. Slow down there, Tiger.
All right.
Take a step back. You're getting a little excited. Would you rather have 1984 be Topps Chrome or Prism?
Prism. I am a Prism simp.
Get the fuck out of here, man.
I am a Prism simp. Look, I don't have a strong loyalty to any player whose best cards are in Topps Chrome, but I have very strong loyalties to 3 players whose best cards, 4 even maybe, whose best cards come from Prism.
That's true. Good point.
So it's not overly complicated. That's just, it is what it is.
It's just that we're biased towards things we like and everything else fucking sucks.
Yes. Exactly.
I mean, it's been 2 years of crossover. Are people just figuring that out?
Oh my god, it's a fucking blowout for Chrome in the chat. You guys are gonna wish you appreciated Prism more when it's gone. That's what I have to say.
Is it gonna be gone though?
Dude, that shit can't leave soon enough. Get it out of here. No more Prism.
Well then,
All you.
I hate to break this news live, but I'll do it. Panini's being acquired, baby. Prism, long live Prism. Long live Prism. Long live Prism.
You guys in here are pretentious out of 10 golds. You just, you want to be in this exclusive club. Only fucking 10 of us can be in it. Pretentious bastards.
You're winning me over, Tom Brady collection. You're winning me over.
This is like the unlosable friendship argument where it's like 2 friends enter, 2 friends leave. Chrome versus Prism.
Which gold is better?
Yeah, it's like you're splitting hairs, man. These are it's cards. This is all gravy.
We all win.
Imagine if like people could actually have conversations like this and just be like, yeah, we fundamentally disagree, but we're still friends, and move on. Huh.
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, smart question. Smart question here from 615 Collector. Should Panini, and at first I thought this question was sarcastic, but I don't think it is. Should Panini follow Leaf's lead and start bringing lawsuits against players that are not signing cards to speed up the redemption process? And, for those who don't know, Leaf sued CeeDee Lamb and made a public show of it, and then CeeDee Lamb signed those damn cards and got him back.
No, because you start suing these athletes like regularly, and can you stop? You start suing these athletes regularly, and I'm gonna fucking punch you in the face. And they're gonna stop signing your contracts. Like, what are you doing? What are you fucking doing?
Yeah.
You think CeeDee Lamb is gonna sign another contract with Leaf after he got like pulled in publicly and like made fun of for not autographing cards?
I thought that at first as well, but damn, he signed those cards and got them back fast. You know?
Dude, that's just I feel like this is why you don't like the auto patch card as much, because you're like, fuck all this. I don't have to deal with this. I just get my golds. Doesn't even matter what the player thinks. There's no attachment to the player. He didn't touch the card. This is my gold.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We don't have to worry about problems like this. We don't have...
I think redemption is like the silliest problem. This is also... I'm going to piggyback off your little, gold. Me collecting cards that have existed for 20 years is my saving grace. Like, I know that shit's not going to be, the population's not going to increase on the production of it. I don't have to worry about, them fucking with him signing more cards and redemptions. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It's a known quantity. I just get to collect what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I mean, I don't think most people are going to say, yeah, Panini should start suing these athletes, but there is a little substance to this.
He folded so fast.
What?
CeeDee Lamb folded like a freaking chair.
Yes. And so, look, so this is 615 Clicker saying, look, there's people who are waiting on their favorite players to turn in signed cards for years.
Yep.
What if this lawsuit thing works? What if it works? What if it gets these cards back? That's what he's saying.
You guys are delusional. I'm telling you, you're delusional. Like, you're going to end autographs. Okay.
Just Carvin's on your side, Christina. Look what Carvin said. Sue players. Players hate signing cards. More players will opt out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's right. I'm not saying that's wrong. All right. All I'm saying.
It works in these one-off cases. It works in the one-off cases.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, like, agents say, like, the first thing that they, like, the first check they deliver to an athlete after they've been drafted is a trading card autograph contract. You're going to have, like, if this becomes the norm, you're going to have the stars of drafts choose not to, like, sign these contracts, and you're going to have a bunch of shit tier, like, autographs from shit tier players, like, low in the draft, and that's going to be your new norm. Forget, like, chasing fucking...
Right.
All right, we got it. You don't need to make the point 8 times. We got it. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Stock. Okay, Mr. Stock guy. Get out of here.
All right, listen up. Next question. From Slab Dad.
I got your back, Christina. This guy's cutting you off, and he talks about stocks for 6 hours.
Yeah. making like rude...
Oh my God, you just opened it up. You just opened the faucet again after I delicately closed the faucet.
Thank you, Josh.
All right.
Delicately.
I got you.
Delicately? You call that delicately.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Look, and by the way, you made great points. Caden Card says she ain't lying. All right.
Thanks, Gaden.
Slab Daddy says, is our last chance to buy Grail? This is a very important question.
All right, I'm focused.
Is our last chance to buy Grails if the kid Illuminati grows up to become dentists?
Oh, I'm not focused anymore.
And the answer to that question is, if we're asking that question, it's already too fucking late, Slab Daddy. It's way too late. We're screwed. Either become a kid, become a dentist, or the game will always be rigged against you.
Become a kid, child.
Here's the thing about that question. If those kids can afford these types of cards, there's no way they're going to put in the effort to become a dentist when they're already rich enough to afford cards when they're a kid. They're just going to never have a job.
Amen.
Would you ever have Luca sign your gold prism if you could?
No. Oh my God.
Is that
I
a
saw
real
that.
question?
I
You
saw
must be.
that.
Dude,
That looked awful.
That's like a
Dude.
that's like a question that a Ryan Leaf collector would ask. I expect better from
Let me-
Brady collectors.
yeah, let me take it further for you, and I'll use the LeBron as an example. If LeBron was literally begging me over a dinner, a private dinner that he organized, please let me sign that card. Oh my God, I'd be like, dude, get the fuck, no, what? You're not touching my card, bro. You're not signing this. I don't care how much you're begging me.
Look, that's how much it means to Josh. He would end his best friendship with LeBron over it.
Thank you. You organized that very nicely for me.
Nice job. All right.
He's like got the pen in his hand. And he's like forcefully like trying to. I'm like, no, dude, what the fuck?
Well, that's the probably most unrealistic fantasy ever constructed on this show.
He's trying to autograph rape me.
We know what keeps Josh up at night. And I'd be worried about that. It's maybe get him a whistle to prevent that.
Have you seen? Remember that episode of Office where I think it's Michael and he's like, what if like Brad Pitt just like is trying to get to you and he's like, what is this fantasy you're describing where Brad Pitt's just all over you?
I can't breathe.
Well,
Remember that?
yeah. And yeah, that's
Only in hour 3 are you gonna get these comps.
this show's had the whole arc. You know, it was serious, it was light, it was heavy, it was in between, it was saucy, and now it's just completely off the rails.
I love how Christina has her certain type of reactions and you have yours, and it's so much easier to get Christina to laugh.
This is true.
Yeah, sometimes. Well, no, yeah. I had Brady sign my refractor rookie card, and Card Ladder says it's worth $16 million.
This guy's pretty good. You know what? As much as he came in hot, he's actually got a pretty good sense of humor.
Yeah, he's bringing a few things here. I like it.
He's just like, what kind of weirdo is up this late?
This is definitely a troll account. Let me see if this guy actually has any cards posted on his page. What do you think? Over, under on 5 cards posted to his page?
Well, I'll say over.
Oh, no, it's private.
Oh, dude, come on with the private accounts, guys. What does that even do?
Specializing in high-end Tom Brady sports cards. If you have high-end Tom Brady cards, I'm always looking to buy. Well, guess what? I have a 2000 Bowman Chrome Refractor Tom Brady autographed in person, graded PSA 1010 with an NBA sticker and a PWCC S designation. But guess what?
Damn.
Guess what? I'm not selling it.
Dude, if you could buy, well, it's a random Luka card, but it's one you want in your PC. I'm not telling you what it is. Would you rather have the NBA Platinum or nothing?
Nothing.
I don't want this sticker on there personally.
Yeah, because first of all, you have to pay extra or whatever.
Yep.
And then you got to figure out how to get it off there without gumming up your slab.
Yep. Now look, I don't want to say that like Mike Baker doesn't know what he's doing, or that he might, there has come a need in this hobby to designate 10s that are better than other 10s, 9.5s that are better than other 9.5s. Like that, there is like, there, and like, but look, whether it's Mike Baker doing it, other people doing it, like I just want to say, I'm not knocking Mike Baker. All I'm saying is it visually impairs the presentation of the card.
Yeah, agreed.
Agreed.
He says that you should request like the great Tom Brady collection, except Chris's collection, so that on the show we can take a look.
I'm logged in on the Card Ladder account. Oh, there we go. Christina will do it. All right. Because like on my computer, the only account that I've logged in is the Card Ladder account.
I've noticed this trend from Brady collectors, and he just said it. The Brady collectors have this sense of like, Brady made me rich.
Brady
so I owe a lot to Brady.
Brady collectors make me start to sympathize with the point of view that maybe we shouldn't be comparing cars to the S&P 500.
That's
maybe
this is what I'm worried.
Maybe cards are a little overvalued.
This is what I worry about in this hobby is that some of you guys, some of you collectors are so extreme in your takes and your thoughts that you're going to force Chris out of here, and I'm going to be left to my own. You're going to push him too far, and you're going to actually make him leave the hobby with your dumb takes. So just everyone chill.
Yeah.
Except so we can see how titch you are because of Brady. It's from Christina's PC. Oh, he has exactly 1,000 followers. Man, wouldn't it be terrible if somebody broke that clean number and made it 1,001? Wouldn't that be so bad? I would hate.
No.
Oh, there it is.
All right, let's see.
All right, here's what's up first. That's funny how I literally
So he's got the on card.
Oh, whoops. Sorry, Christina's phone.
That's why I have an OtterBox.
Literally.
That's an expensive card.
This is the 2000 Bowman Chrome Refractor, BGS 95 Auto 10.
That's an in-person autograph?
Yeah. Yep. All right, what else? We have signed game-used balls from Super Bowl 51 and 53.
Damn.
I'm not really impressed by memorabilia, bud.
That's a nice set of balls.
Do you keep your balls in a dark place, or do you put them out and let people touch them?
Here is a personalized treasures from NT Tom Brady autograph out of 5. Out of 5.
Inscription. The
inscription says, "Bitcoin is better than sports cards." Ooh.
Jesus.
Oh, Tom.
I love how you went on this huge thing, and then at the very, very, very end, you were like, also Bitcoin outperformed cards.
Yeah, I mean,
you have to, man. You have to stay impartial. You gotta post the numbers.
Yeah. The thing about that, though,
his brain is melting on camera.
I'm like wondering, like, do we want to do Bitcoin and stocks at the same time? Because they're it's like fighting the same. It's fighting two different opponents on two different fronts. You know, I'm defending the southern border on one of these wars. I'm defending the eastern shore on the other war.
You're like Lord of the Rings. It's like Mordor, and then you got the ring on the other side. It's a battle. I
was thinking more like Napoleon, maybe during the Napoleonic Wars or something like that, where I'm fighting, I'm commanding multiple armies, and it's just like, do I really? We'll just fight one war at a time.
Yeah, it didn't work out well for Napoleon.
We'll fight one war at a time. Napoleon was a great general. Okay, this is a Panini Lux. Tom Brady out of 10.
All right. He's got the good stuff. I get it.
What else do we have here? Oh, that's it. Then he's very proud of this one.
So is it more than 5 cards?
He's very, very proud of this.
He's got a triple logo man over there. What's that?
Well, I'm not sure if that's his. Is that yours? Great Tom Brady collection? But so he's got, it's like, look, all right, let's see if 5, how many different cards have been posted? Well, here's a Brady out of 99.
Oh my God, he answered the question. You said over under 5. Is it more than 5?
Oh, and then
I met Tom Brady, and he signed those balls in front of me.
Okay. Look, so I guess it's 5 because he's got the Bowman. That's the SP. He's got the Bowman and the SP in-person autograph 9/5/10s. He's got this one out of 99. Topps football card game. He's got the Lux, and then he's got the NT 5. And then it looks like he has a signed mantle as well. That's not a Brady card, but yeah.
Hey, look, Chris, you're setting a precedence that you too can come on our show and totally take over by being witty and funny in the chat.
Oh, this is one of the first takeovers ever.
Give an inch, take a mile.
Yeah. Well. All right. Fair enough.
It's like you take an inch and he'll give you a mile.
Fair enough. Yeah. Yes, that's my problem in life is that I just let people get away with everything. Okay.
Well, I just like, that's why I brought up that crypto thing. It was like, you're just going ham on the S&P, and then you're like, also crypto kind of outperformed. But let's go on to the next topic, everybody. What else what's going on this week? Jimmy Butler.
The guy asked a question. The question was answered. You know, we ain't hiding from questions, but look, the Bitcoin discussion is a very different one. It's a
right.
And also, like, this is an under-discussed part of this discussion because a lot of people have conflated analyzing historical price information with making projections about the future. And those are two totally different things. Even the most novice investor knows that old boilerplate term of past performance is not necessarily indicative of future performance. Okay? Yes. Everybody knows that. All right? So
also, I'm not a financial advisor or whatever.
Okay, so here's a totally valid criticism of sports cards. If they've gone up 4, 5, 6 times as much as the S&P 500 has over the last 18 years, isn't there a reasonable likelihood that they're actually going to cool off? Isn't there a reasonable likelihood that, you know, if they don't cool off, that their rate of return is going to calm down and eventually moderate and probably ultimately settle somewhere around what the S&P does. If somebody were to make that criticism, I'm not super interested in it. I don't really care about predicting the market. I don't care about investment hypotheses. And then B, it's a totally valid point. But the problem is, in order to make that point, you have to acknowledge what happened in the past. And for whatever reason, there is a stick up the ass of a handful of people who just want to fight tooth and nail to make the point that the data, that, as Michael Wilbon infamously said, the numbers are now lies. The numbers are now lies.
Dude, remember when we first started Crossover? Like, I feel like our whole shtick was that we were fighting against the market going up too fast on cards that didn't deserve it. So, like, you and I were almost like the faces of pessimism against the sports card market going up so goddamn fast.
And I still feel that,
you know?
By the way.
Yes.
I'm sure you do too.
Which is what you were just saying. It's like, dude, Mbappe Prism World Cup rookies should not be going up 50x in a week. This is insane, everyone. You guys are crazy. This is not going to keep going.
Yep.
And we were just showing graphs all over the place. We were showing Jordan cards that weren't 50xing that you should potentially look at. We were showing middle finger graphs every other week, and it was like, that was our whole thing when we first started. So, like, if we think cards are overvalued, we'll friggin' say it right away.
Totally, dude. So, look, here's the last 3 years of annual return, all right? I'm going to compare S&P to CL50, S&P 500, all right? So, from June 1st, 2019 to, from June 1st, 2018 to June 1st, 2019, the S&P 500 went up 1%. And cards, the CL50 went up 19%. Okay, from June 1st, 2019 to June 1st, 2020, the S&P 500 went up 20%, and the card letter 50 went up 65%. And then finally, from June 1st, 2020 to June 1st, 2021, the S&P 500 went up 29%. The card letter 50 went up 140%. So if one of these guys, one of the skeptics or the pessimists, of which we are, by the way, members of that group, wanted to say, look at the performance over the last 3 years. We can't quite calculate June 1st, 2022 hasn't quite arrived yet, but I would say look at the performance in 2018, or look at the performance of 2019, 2020, and 2021. Look at those 3 years. The card letter 50 went up 20%, then it went up 65%, then it went up 140%. And by comparison, the S&P 500 went up 1%, 20%, and 29%. Okay, so the S&P 500 was surging and recovering, and that's fine, but cards were going up 3, 4, 5x of the S&P 500. I'm skeptical that that's a sustainable rate of growth. And in fact, I would put forth furthermore that there's probably a return to there's probably going to be a correction coming at some point. That's the criticism that I would issue. And you and I, what could we say to that? Nothing. That's totally valid.
You're just handing out bones tonight.
But you want to know why I don't care? They're all too lazy to do that.
I don't care either, dude. Honestly, I couldn't care less about any of this stuff.
So since they won't say it, and since it is a valid criticism, and it should be data-driven, it shouldn't be like, well, I just feel... There is the data-driven answer. All right? Yes, I spent 30 minutes one day comparing year-over-year growth rates of the S&P 500 to the card letter 50. I did that just because.
Well, the beauty of the position we've put ourselves in is we can't lose because we analyze stuff that's already happened. We collect players that have already compiled stats that are in the books. It's too late. We can't erase the past. And we're also willing to criticize our own biases. We're willing to put out into the world documentation around everything we've done, transparency. I post every card I buy. I can't lose. I cannot lose. There's nothing you can say to me. Well, I will lose. I win.
Yeah, that's a good way to be. It's a real good way to be.
The PER of my favorite player is better than all of yours except Michael Jordan. So I can compete against all of you except for Michael Jordan, and I will continue to do so.
Yeah. Yep. I love it. I love it.
Can't lose.
Dude, that's what I love about, but that's what I love and hate about analytics-based arguments in basketball. There's really so here's what I love about it. There are answers to these questions that you can actually get to an answer. You can objectively say this metric says
who's
this
better
player is better than this player. Yeah, and then you can even say look, there's 10 different metrics, and if you sum them all, very rarely will all the metrics give the same answer, but once in a while they do. It's sometimes you can actually really get just the right answer, and it's very hard to argue against it. But here's what's not fun about it. All right, if you do things that way, then how can you be creative? How can you have fun? How can guys sit around in a room and talk about it for 8 hours? You can't.
Right.
It's just the conversation starts and ends in 30 seconds. But, if we go off the eye test, we go off of our personal experience, our personal taste, what we like, what we don't like, there is no wrong answer. And that means guys can be creative and make arguments for hours on end. But it gets dicey when you land in that gray area where one guy's making an eye test argument and then he starts giving stats and he starts using statistics. It's just well, wait a minute. So if you want to bring in
Nick
stats,
Wright.
yeah.
It's like Nick Wright, he's got me, and then he blows it by completely shifting over in the middle of an argument.
Yes. But yeah, all respect to the eye test because it is what enables us to never stop talking about sports. And it lets everybody have an opinion.
This is the crazy thing about the Chris McGill concept and construct and life. He actually doesn't give a shit about any of it. None of this actually bothers you at a personal level. Me, most people, we actually we feel personally attacked. We feel like this stuff is personal. We're emotional. This guy somehow actually doesn't care either way. He's going to be the same at the end of this.
Yeah, it's probably fair. Actually, I get very butthurt though. Let's not get confused about that.
Tell me what makes you butthurt? Because you've been throwing the butthurt term around a lot recently. What makes Chris McGill butthurt?
Oh man, what doesn't make me butthurt? I get butthurt about.
I know what it is.
Huh? What?
The other night, I have a confession to make.
Yeah, that was me being butthurt for sure.
No. I think it was last night or 2 nights ago on Clubhouse. You were talking about Christine and how she plays basketball, and you said something about how she'll flop, and I was like, "Oh, she plays like Luka," and you were like, "Who the fuck said that?" That was me. So I know what makes you butthurt.
In basketball.
Oh, look, what have you done?
You literally pushed me down when we were playing basketball in front of the high school, and my knee got cut up. And we were 2 months into dating, and you tripped me on purpose to because I was because I was such a great defender against you.
Look, the full context of it is I was explaining why nobody should want to play against you. Okay, because you're that. I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but it was nice to you. It was not mean to you.
That I flopped.
It was, but I just turned it into an anti-Luka, and you just immediately were like, "Who the fuck said that?" And everyone stopped talking.
Yeah,
I muted and just
Yeah. Look, I don't. Dude, my levels of butthurt get very large.
Please stop saying butthurt.
All right.
Basically, if you come into the chat and say Luke is overrated, he'll immediately stop the whole show. And
Yeah, there
to
we
counter
go.
this, to balance this, if you say Curry's better than LeBron, my butt is gonna hurt very quickly.
Yeah, look, we gotta be able to sit down tomorrow, guys. So let's not get too butthurt here.
I'll just get the duct tape and you'll be fine.
All right, I think that should be the final quote of today's show.
Get the duct tape and you'll be fine.
Yes. It's been a good 3 hours. It's been a good 3-hour show. All right, C Keith, accept my friend request. All right, look, it's been a good 3 hours.
Great, very entertaining.
Fun show, cover a lot of topics. We'll see you guys 1 week from today when Miami is up 2-0 on Golden State.
Oh my God.
A lot has changed since Card Ladder began. We started with 500 cards in our database, and now we have over 3 million cards and over 30 million sales.
For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
With Card Ladder's sales history feature, we have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history, and you can add a card to your collection with just one click.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Plus, every card, no matter the last time it's sold, has an estimated value that we calculated using our state-of-the-art player indexes. Unlike other apps, when you see Card Ladder's verified checkmark, that means a researcher personally vetted each and every sale.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors.
Know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder 2.0, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Card Ladder 2.0.